After, well, horse racing fans, after 37 years, your long wait is over. Hello, friends. It is Anthony Fleur here with you for a special Saturday night edition of Strictly Sports. I am sitting in for Derek Ferreira tonight as he is watching the Miguel Cotto fight with some close friends. So he will not be joining us tonight. Not sure about Michael Fletcher. I don't know if he's going to be joining us either. But what we do know is the show will go on as scheduled. We were supposed to have it last night. Derek decided to push it back to tonight. He asked me to step in and host, and I don't have a problem with that at all. So, yeah, but as my motto says, it doesn't have to be three. It can be two. Hell, it could have even been one. But we got two here tonight, so I'm happy about that. So, yes, Movement's running the show tonight, as it's myself and Michael Bullock here. We're running it here tonight. No nicknames. We're not going to do our usual doppelganger names. We'll save that for the Wrestling Forum. We're just going to go by our usual names. I think that's how we should do it from now on. Save those doppelganger names for the Wrestling Forum. That's how I strongly feel about that. So with that said, history was made earlier this evening as American Pharaoh won the Triple Crown, first time since 1978. However, we will not be getting into it. I just had a message with Derek Ferreira. I asked Derek if we could include it in tonight's show, but Derek says no. Push it back to Friday because he wants to get his 2 cents in on it. So sorry about that, friends. I tried to go to bat with this one, but Michael Bullock and we really wanted to get into it today, but unfortunately that will not happen. Hey, it's Derek's show. If it was my show, I definitely would have done it. But to me, it is what it is. But don't worry. On the next Strictly Sports show, Friday night, we will most definitely get into American Pharaoh winning the Triple Crown. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about that. You'll have to wait till Friday, my friends. I'm sorry about that. But nonetheless, we got a loaded show for you tonight anyways. I'm hoping Michael Fletcher will join us. I'm not really sure if he will, but like I said, we got a lot to get into here. I mean, we got a lot of we got some NFL news. We got some NBA news. We'll also have a recap of Game 2 of the Stanley Cup Finals. We'll also have some college news. And we have a double main event here tonight. Yes, I said double main event. In the first half of that double main event, Michael Bullock will share his experiences of his participation in last weekend's Special Olympics State Summer Games that were held at URI. We will have Michael Bullock do that. That will be the first half of the double main event. And then the other half of the double main event, you know what that is. Our newest installment of the Major League Baseball Power Rankings. Oh boy, all I can tell you is there will be indeed some big-time shakeups when it comes to this set of power rankings here tonight. So buckle yourselves in, my friends. We got a bumpy ride here tonight, and yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun here tonight. So with that said, let's get right into it. We're going to start with the NFL. Like I said, we got 2 NFL stories. We have 3 NBA stories. We have Game 2 of the Stanley Cup Finals. Some college football news, college basketball news. Michael Bullock, his Special Olympic experiences, and of course, in the other half of our double main event, it is the Major League Baseball Power Rankings. So with that said, let's dive right into it. We're going to start it off with the NFL. We have 2 stories from the world of the NFL. We're going to start it off with Cam Newton. Cam Newton signed a new extension this past week. Let me try to get the details of that. He signed a new extension over this past week. It was actually, I believe, on Tuesday. Yes, it was Tuesday. He agreed to a new 5-year, $103.8 million contract extension to stay with the Carolina Panthers. And I'm going to start it off as always. So, yeah, a great wow, what a contract that is. I mean, that's a big time contract. I mean, normally, to be honest with you, I really honestly could care less. I usually honestly don't really give two craps about NFL hot stove stuff. But in this case, with a contract of this magnitude, with a big time name like Cam Newton, this is one time I actually don't mind getting into NFL hot stove stuff. So yeah, I mean, this is a great contract for Carolina. I mean, Cam Newton has done some wonderful things for that franchise. I mean, yes, he's had some, noggin diva, Dinkelberg moments, mainly during his press conferences, especially after losses. But nonetheless, I mean, you cannot discount what Cam Newton has done for this franchise. Setting the rookie record for passing out. Well, he had a rookie year for the ages. I mean, over 4,000 yards, 4,051 yards in 2011. Follow that up with 3,869 in 2012. 2013 was a career year for him. He had 3,379 yards with 24 touchdowns and only 13 interceptions. And this year, 3,127 yards, 18 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. He missed 2 games due to injury. And the Carolina Panthers, as you know, 7-8-1. And believe it or not, that record was good enough to win the NFC South. Goodness gracious. But nonetheless, I mean, you cannot discount what Cam Newton has done. I mean, Cam Newton, of course, leading Auburn, Lindsey McCormick, our good friend, one of our very close personal friends of Strictly Sports, as you know, her alma mater, Auburn, in January of 2011, won the national championship by defeating, Oregon at University of Phoenix Stadium in that championship game on a last-second field goal. And, he won a national championship. This past season, he got the Panthers into the last 2 years, actually, he's gotten the Carolina Panthers into the divisional playoffs. But unfortunately, both years they lost. 2013, as you know, they lost at home to the San Francisco 49ers, who then went on to go to the Super Bowl. And then this past season, they would lose to the Seattle Seahawks. Well, I beg your pardon. When they lost to San Francisco, Seattle got to the Super Bowl. And then last year, of course, they played Seattle in the divisional round in Seattle. They lost, and it was Seattle who then went on to go to the Super Bowl. Of course, Super Bowl 49, who will ever forget it, that unbelievable, that Super Bowl for the ages. I mean, this, and quick note, 2013 was the summer of hard times. Well, year of hard times, more so the summer of hard times, 2013. 2014, of course, all know last year, that was the year of the underdog. And this past year, I'm going to go on the record and say it. And I don't know if Eric Ferrera is watching, but if he is, I hope he hears this. I think this year has been the year of Shakespearean drama. I mean, we've had a lot of Shakespearean drama events this year, from the Super Bowl to the NCAA tournament, the Stanley Cup playoffs, and the NBA playoffs. Of course, Game 1 of the NBA Finals the other night. I mean, what a game that was. And so far, the first 2 games of this Stanley Cup final, which we'll get into in just a little bit. But nonetheless, I mean, a great year. But we'll get more into that another day. But Cam Newton, I mean, one of the best all-around quarterbacks I've seen. Honestly, I thought he was more of a running quarterback than a passing quarterback. I mean, that rookie year, he also had 14 rushing touchdowns and over 700 yards, and he had 741 yards and 8 touchdowns in his first 2 years. I mean, he had over 700. I mean, it went down a little bit in 2013 and 14, over 500. But he has 33 career rushing touchdowns. He has 82 career touchdown passes, 54 interceptions, career rating of 85.4. And, and of course, in the postseason, he does have a playoff victory under his belt. That came against the Arizona Cardinals in the wild card round this past season. So he has a win under his belt. 711 passing yards in the playoffs, 5 touchdowns and 5 interceptions. So Michael Bullock, make a note of it. You don't have to reiterate what I just said. I went down all the numbers. So when I get to you, I just want to get your thoughts on this. So we don't waste any time. But anyways, I mean, I love his body of work. I mean, he's gotten better with the antics, but I mean, he set rookie records, he set records, and I mean, he's got a laundry list of records here, and he's been to 2 Pro Bowls, he's been a Rookie of the Year, and I mean, Rookie of the Year in the AP, in the NFL, Pepsi NFL Rookie of the Year, Sporting News Rookie of the Year, and he's been over 3,000 yards the last 4 years. I mean, he's set quite a few Carolina Panther franchise records. I mean, I can honestly say he's the best quarterback that franchise has ever had. So, I mean, and I think the skies are the limit for the Carolina Panthers this year. I mean, I think they're definitely going to be they're a team that I think we're going to need to watch for when we get to the new NFL season in 3 months' time. And wow, I can't believe it's already going to be 3 more months, and then we're going to be back in football season again. I can't. I'm that's great. So we're definitely looking forward to that. So yeah. I like the move for it. I like the move for Newton personally. I also like the move for the Carolina franchise. And I think, like I said, the skies are the limit for the Carolina Panthers. And you hear it here first. I think they're going to be one of the 6 teams to represent the NFC in next season's playoffs. I really do. Because of Cam Newton and his other teammates' body of work. They got a damn good young team. And they'll be at least a wild card. That's all I know. Will they win the division for the 3rd year in a row? It's very possible. So, we'll have to wait and see on that. And hopefully that division gets better because last year that NFC South was a freaking joke. That's all there is to it. So, love the move. It's a great move. Congrats to Cam Newton. That's a great contract here. 5 years, nearly 104 mil. Yeah, that's a worthwhile contract there. And hopefully he'll live up to every bit of it. And I think he can. Just tone down the Noggin Diva Dinkelberg antics and keep doing what you're doing, Cam, and who knows? Maybe the Carolina Panthers will definitely be on the verge of a major playoff run. This team could make a playoff run next year. I really do. So I've touched on everything else. I touched on all the numbers. I touched on all the accomplishments and everything else. Michael Bullock, you don't have to do that. So I want to get your thoughts now. So Michael Bullock, no doppelganger name. Just introduce yourself as yourself. So Michael Bullock, let's get your thoughts on Cam Newton's extension.
All right, thank you very much, Anthony Florio. Yes, this is Mike Bullock here for a special Saturday night edition of Strictly Sports on what has been a historic Saturday in the world of sports, to say the very least. But we'll definitely get into of course, the American Pharaoh becoming the first Triple Crown winner in 37 years this upcoming Friday night. But as far as this goes, yeah, I like the deal for Carolina, of course, signing Cam Newton to that 5-year deal, and like you said, I mean, what he did at Auburn, leading them to a national championship, and has had some success in the pros. I mean, yeah, I mean, his press conferences, he does act like a noggin a diva. Well, when it comes to losing, he's got that. I don't know if it's like a serious or a sad face, but sometimes it makes me feel like, oh, come on, Cam, grow up and act like a man, you moron. But sorry about that. That's my my dog in the background. But yeah, as far as the last couple of years, he's really improved, and as a matter of fact, has gotten the Carolina Panthers to the playoffs, especially winning the South a couple of years ago, and again last year. Even though they did have a 7-8-1 record, which was a losing record, and that NFC South last year was don't get me started on that crap. But yeah, I mean, I like the body of work of this Carolina Panthers team, and if Cam Newton, I think he's going to continue to get better. Like you said, he's a more of a running quarterback than a thrower, but you never know. I still think he can make some big plays with his arm, but I think you'll see more of it with his legs. So nice deal for Cam Newton. Nice deal for the Panthers, and this team's only going to get better. So will they win that division for the 3rd year in a row? I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But I will say this: they definitely will be in the playoffs. It's either the wild card or the division. So really got nothing else to say except Florio. Let's move on to the next segment, which I will lead off on.
And you will indeed. And it's our second and other NFL story. This is the only other NFL news topic of this week before we move on to the NBA. Yahoo is going to be live streaming the game in London, England next evening between my Buffalo Bills and the Jacksonville Jaguars. So, Michael Bullock, what do you think about that?
Wow, I mean, talk about history being made. Yeah, Yahoo's going to be airing the Bills Jags game from London all around on their platform, and yeah, I mean, this is the first time the NFL has ever pulled something off like this, and I mean, now not only can you possibly watch it on TV, but you can watch it online on Yahoo. So, you know what? I actually like this. I mean, this is you're not only going to get the American people hooked onto this, but everyone around the world is going to probably be watching this. I mean, even though let's face it, the Jaguars have been a meh team for the last few years, but I think this is something that maybe NFL fans get hooked on. But I mean, and if this is successful, who knows? Maybe we might see more of this down the road. I mean, we could probably see more regular season games on here. Heck, I wouldn't. I think it's just regular season games we'll probably see. I don't think they would do anything like the playoffs or the Super Bowl on here, but you never know. So yeah, so definitely history being made, and so I think I actually like this move. So I don't know how you feel about it, Florio, but that's all I can say. So give me your thoughts on this.
Well, to be honest, Michael Bullock, I gotta say it like this. I'm actually okay with it because look who Buffalo's playing, for God's sakes. They're playing the Jacksonville Jaguars. I mean, do you really think I'm going to get up at 9:30 in the morning to watch a football game that we all know is going to be an absolute dud? No. I'm going to be honest with you. I do plan on the only reason I am going to actually. I know this is major foreshadowing, but by the time we get to that day, I'm going to be hanging with my church family at my church on that Sunday. I'm going to tell you that right now. I'm not gonna stay here and turn on my computer and watch my Bills absolutely pound the crap out of Jacksonville, which we all know they're gonna do because let's face it, Jacksonville is terrible. No, terrible in the immortal words of Charles Barkley. I mean, for the love of God, I mean that team is god awful, and my team's defense, with Marcel Darius and Mario Williams and that unbelievable unit, they are gonna be feasting. Oh, they're going to be feasting on Blake Bortles in that offense. Let me tell you, we're going to be waking up, and when we do wake up, it's going to be feeding time, a la Ryback. So that's all there is to it. But this is definitely a major step. I mean, Yahoo, doing a live stream of a game that, let's face it, nobody cares about except for diehard Buffalo Bill and diehard Jacksonville Jaguar fans. But nonetheless, I definitely. It's a great move for Yahoo, and it's a fairly big deal. So, I mean, I honestly thought the game would have been, probably on CBS at least. Seeing that it's an AFC game. But let's face it, nobody's going to give two craps about that game anyway because it's very early in the morning. 9:30 in the morning, I believe, is the kickoff for that game here. So. But nonetheless, I mean, like I said, it's a game that really nobody's gonna care about, and it's gonna be early in the morning. It'll be on October 25th. I just wanted to make sure I had the date right. It will be on Sunday morning, October the 25th, when the Buffalo Bills and the Jacksonville Jaguars meet at Wembley Stadium in London, England, or as Derek Ferrer likes to call it, the Cathedral of Soccer. And I mean, live streamed and exclusively online. Yahoo had to win a bidding war for the rights. And through this partnership with Yahoo, one of the world's most recognizable digital brands, they're taking another important step in that direction as they continue to closely monitor the rapidly evolving digital media landscape. I mean, YouTube even tried to get in on the action. They were reportedly among the other platforms that bid for the rights. But Yahoo earned the right by paying, get this, Michael Bullock, at least $20 million. $20 million that they had to do. The rights, huge gift for Yahoo. It's also a very interesting venture for the NFL, which will have the opportunity to experiment with a new form of distribution. 9:30 a.m. kickoff. One of 3 games in London, England this upcoming season. Of course, we'll get more into that, when we start the our big NFL Saturday shows, in addition to our college football Friday shows, which we'll be doing in a few months. So, yeah, the only TV networks that are going to show the game are only those local television stations in the markets of Jacksonville and Buffalo, obviously. So that's all for that. So $20 million. Hopefully it's a good investment. So that's all there is to say about it. I mean, YouTube, that would have been interesting because you know how big YouTube's been for the last 10 years. Can't believe it's already been 10 years since that thing started up. So, but nonetheless, a huge get for Yahoo. And, October 25th, we'll have to wait and see what happens. But you already heard it here first. Buffalo's gonna pound Jacksonville to the ground. That's all there is to it. So, and I'm very confident about that too. So, all right, we're gonna move on. That's it for the NFL. Now we're gonna move on to the NBA. 2 new head coaching hires, and then we'll also have the big development out of the NBA Finals. We're gonna start it off with 2 big head coaching hires. And we're going to start it off with my team, the Chicago Bulls. Well, not just my team. It's also Michael Fletcher's team, and it's also Matt Ward's team as well. The Chicago Bulls have a new head coach, and as we, got into it last week, it is now indeed official. We said it was going to possibly be this individual, and guess what? It is indeed, and it is going to indeed be Fred Hoiberg. Fred Hoiberg, now the new head coach of the Chicago Bulls. That was announced this past week, and like I said last week, I mean, I think it's a very good hire for Chicago. I'm just going to try to get the details here. Yeah, it was also announced this past Tuesday. 5-year, $25 million contract with the Chicago Bulls. He's leaving his previous post at Iowa State, where in each of the past 4 seasons, he guided the Iowa State Cyclones into the NCAA tournament. So, and like I said, I'll start it off. I mean, like I said, it's a great hire because of the fact that he knows the Chicago Bulls organization. I mean, he played for the Chicago Bulls during his playing days. He was there for 4 years. He started there in the 99-2000 season, and he left there after the 2002-2003 season. He averaged, in his first year, he averaged 9 points. Second year was 9.1. Then it went down to 4.4, and then all the way down to 2.3. His career year was in his second year in Chicago, which was the 2000-2001 season. He played in 74 games. He started half of them, 37. Played about 30 minutes a game, and he had 9 points and 4 rebounds and just about 4 assists a game for the Chicago Bulls. One of 3 teams he played for in the NBA. He actually started with the Indiana Pacers. He spent his first 4 years in Indiana, 95-96 all the way through 98-99. And then 99-2000 through 02-03, he was at the Chicago Bulls. And then his final 2 years, 03-04 and 04-05, he was with the Minnesota Timberwolves. He went to the playoffs 3 times. He was with the Indiana Pacers in the 98 and 99 seasons. You remember both of those years, they got to the Eastern Conference Finals, but they lost. 98, they lost to the Chicago Bulls in 7 games. And then in 99, they lost in the Eastern Conference Finals again This time it was in 6 games, and it was not to the Chicago Bulls, it was to the New York Knicks. And I remember that very well. Game 6 in Madison Square Garden. What a madhouse that was. And then in the 03-04 season, he was with the Minnesota Timberwolves. And the Minnesota Timberwolves, they went to the Western Conference Finals that year, but they were defeated. I believe that was in 6 games as well. To, of course, the Shaq and Kobe Lakers. Of course, it wasn't just Shaq and Kobe that year. They had that super team that also had Karl Malone and Gary Payton, as we all remember. So, and then his playing career ended in June of 2005 when he underwent surgery to correct an enlarged aortic root. Successful operation, and he joined the T-Wolves coaching staff, and he announced his retirement from hoops, from basketball on April 17th of 2006. And then he became the head coach of Iowa State on April 27th of 2010. He replaced Greg McDermott. Of course, Greg McDermott, as you know, is now the head coach at Creighton, as you know. And then his first year at Iowa State, 16-16, did not make the NCAA tournament. But the last 4 years following, he made the NCAA tournament. The first 2 years, he got to the round of 32. Third year, got to the Sweet 16. And then this past season, got to the round of 64. So that's pretty much everything on Fred Hoiberg. He leaves Iowa State with an overall record of 115-56, and a Big 12. That's the overall record, and his Big 12 conference record 49-39. Of course, this past season, he led Iowa State to a Big 12 tournament championship, as you know. Well, actually, the last 2 years they've won the Big 12 conference tournament, and the last 2 years in particular were really good years, but nothing to show for it. I mean, the best he got was the Sweet 16 in the 2014 tournament. But nonetheless, I mean, Hoiberg wasn't really all that great a player, but I'll tell you what, as a head coach, I mean, he's proven his worth. And, we were seeing all these college coaches, make the jump from college to the pros now. I mean, look at Billy Donovan in Oklahoma City after an unbelievable career at the University of Florida, which includes 2 national championships. Well, let me rephrase that: back-to-back national championships in 2006 and 2007. I mean, not just Billy Donovan, but him. But now you have Hoiberg, leaving Iowa State, had a good thing going there, and now he's with now he's going to be with the Chicago Bulls, and replacing, of course, Tom Thibodeau. Thibodeau, who was fired, just a short time ago. After he had a solid tenure there, but unfortunately there was nothing to show for it. Furthest they ever got was the conference finals in 2011. Unfortunately, they were beaten by LeBron and the Miami Overhypes, or as they're best known, the Miami Heat. After that, overhyped and overrated team came together, but that was in 5 games, by the way. And now what can Fred Hoiberg do? I mean, can he work with Derrick Rose? I mean, can Derrick Rose, first of all, can Derrick Rose stay healthy for a long-term period of time, which I think would be wonderful if that can happen. And then the other core players like Pau Gasol and Jimmy Butler and Joakim Noah. I mean, and then our key guys off the bench like Taj Gibson and Aaron Brooks and Tony Snell. So, he's going to be inheriting a great team, and I am hopeful that Hoiberg can be just as successful, if not more successful, than Tom Thibodeau was. And hopefully he can be the guy who can get the Chicago Bulls, into the NBA Finals, for the first time since 1998, which was also the last time they won it all. Back when they had, the mega team of MJ and Scotty and Rodman and Tony Kukoc and Wennington and all of them and Phil Jackson. So we'll have to wait and see. it's a wait and see for me right now. My saying, of course, as you know, nothing happens overnight. So I'm just praying that Freddie Hoiberg can do some big time things for the Chicago Bulls, and coming off 4 straight NCAA tournament appearances with Iowa State, including the last 2 winning the Big 12 conference tournament. So we'll have to wait and see on this. So do I like the move? Yeah. I'm not over the moon about it, but we'll have to wait and see. I mean, like I said, he had a solid career at Iowa State. But remember, this is the NBA. This is not college. Solid is good in college. In the NBA, however, solid is not good enough. Ask Tom Thibodeau. He'll tell you that firsthand. He was solid, but apparently Jerry Reinsdorf and the Bulls organization, they don't want solid. They want 5-star. They want, they want A-plus guy. They want an A-plus guy. They don't want a B-plus guy. Because, of course, they're, drinking that authority Kool-Aid, best for business and all that. I guess they felt Thibodeau was not best for business, and Fred Hoiberg is. So we'll have to wait and see. If it leads to any immediate success, I'll agree. I mean, let's just wait and see how this all goes down. We won't see them again, of course, until the end of October when their new season starts. So I still think they're going to be a playoff team, but the big question is, can they hang with the Clevelands and the Atlantas and the Washingtons and the improving Milwaukee and Toronto, and an upstart young Celtic team of Michael Bullock, so and your Brooklyn. So we'll have to wait and see on this. So I think they'll be in the playoffs next year. I think they'll be good enough to make it. Will they be good enough to win it all? Jerry's out to lunch on that. I hope so, but I'm not holding my breath on that. So I like the move. I like the hire. So I just hope that it leads to immediate success. I'm just hoping we don't have another, Thibodeau situation. That's all I hope for. So that's all I can say about it. I touched on, all the numbers and all the details about, Freddie Hoiberg. So, Michael Bullock, let's get your quick thoughts on Fred Hoiberg becoming the new head coach of the Chicago Bulls.
Yeah, I mean, I like the move. I mean, the thing is, he did leave a good job over at Iowa State. I mean, like you said, I mean, he had some good success there. I mean, leading them Iowa State to the NCAA tournament, but like you said, this is the NBA. This is not college, and just because you had success in college doesn't mean it's going to lead to success in the NBA. But the thing is, he's got some talent there, and especially Derrick Rose. But the only question is, will we get a healthy Derrick Rose? We'll have to wait and see. I mean, you still got Pau Gasol, you got Jimmy Butler, you got Pau Gasol. So yeah, I mean, I think he's in good hands. I think this team will definitely make the playoffs under Fred Hoiberg. But like I said, this is going to be like an adjustment for him because, like you said, he was sort of a role player during his playing career in the NBA, and he's done good coaching over in college. But will it transition to the NBA, especially with the Bulls? We'll have to wait and see on that. So yeah, you pretty much touched on everything. So with that being said, let's move on to the next segment, which I will lead off on.
And you will indeed, Michael Bullock. And it's the other big coaching hire in the NBA, Alvin Gentry. Alvin Gentry, as you know, he is currently the assistant head coach with Steve Kerr and the Western Conference champion Golden State Warriors. He is now, after this season is over, he is going to be the new head coach of the New Orleans Pelicans. Just bear with me for one moment, Michael Bullock. I'm going to get the details on this. Well, I don't have the necessary information, but what I do know is May 18th, New Orleans, they were granted permission by the Warriors to interview Gentry, and then 12 days later, on May 30th, it became official. Prior to the start of this NBA Finals, Alvin Gentry will be the new head coach of the New Orleans Pelicans. That is until the NBA Finals are over. And just think, he could go there as a champion. So, because the Golden State Warriors are currently up 1-0 on the Cleveland Cavaliers. We'll get more into that in just a moment because the other big NBA story revolves around the NBA Finals. So, Michael Bullock, Alvin Gentry, the new head coach of the New Orleans Pelicans. How do you feel about that?
I like the signing here. I mean, and like you said, he's had some success, and the thing is, this is not his first go around as a head coach. I mean, let's take a look at some of the other. Of course, he was the head coach. He was a coach for Miami from '94 to '95, and then from '97 to 2000 was the head coach over at with the Detroit Pistons. During that time, he compiled a record of 63 and 72 during that time. That unfortunately was a losing record. And then from 2000 to
it was 73 and 72.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for correcting me on that. I was a little bit off on that. So yeah. That's why I got you here, Florio, to help correct me. So yeah, and then of course he was the head coach for the Clippers from 2000 to 2003. Once again, didn't have good success with the Clippers. As a matter of fact, partway through the 2002-2003 season, he was fired, and then was the interim coach for the Phoenix Suns during the 2008-09 season, and then basically was the head coach there and his best season was, of course, that 2009-2010 season when they went 54 and 28, and that was the year they got to the Western Conference Finals, only to lose to the eventual world champion Los Angeles Lakers. So so I mean, he's had some ups and downs in his career, but the thing is, I think he's going to be in good hands. He's got a good he's got a New Orleans Pelicans team that's actually on the rise. Of course, led by the number one pick, Anthony Davis, who the last time I checked was pretty damn good. So, and the thing is, I actually, hold on a minute here. Sorry about that. They actually made the playoffs last. Didn't they make the playoffs this past season? I'm trying to remember if they did.
Who? New Orleans?
Yeah, New Orleans.
Yeah, they were in it. They got swept by Golden State in the first round.
All right, I just wanted to be clear on that. So, so we'll have to wait and see how Alvin Gentry does, because, like I've said before, he's been up and down as a head coach. But like I said, his best season was, of course, that 2009-2010 season with Phoenix, getting into the Western Conference Finals. So. Yeah, so basically, as Derek Ferrer would like to always say, take it with a grain of salt when it comes to this hire. So, yeah, so that's pretty much all I can say on it. So, Florio, I give it to you.
Yeah. Alvin Gentry, of course, solid head coach, he's got a lot of coaching experience. I mean, mainly as an assistant, though. I mean, he started in the 80-81 season as an assistant with Baylor. And then from 81 to 86, he was an assistant at Colorado. 86 to 89 was his most successful stint as an assistant, as he was with Kansas. And you remember in 1988, Danny and the Miracles, they won the national championship in 1988. So there you go for Kansas. And then his first taste of the NBA was in the 89-90 season when he was an assistant with the San Antonio Spurs. And then the following season, he was an assistant with the LA Clippers. And then from 91 to 94, he was an assistant head coach with the Miami Heat, became their head coach in 94. And then from 94 to 98, he was an assistant with the Detroit Pistons, was their head coach from 98 to 2000, was an assistant with San Antonio in 2000, and then from 01 to 03, head coach of the LA Clippers, an assistant with the Phoenix Suns from 03 to 09, and then from 09 to 13 with the Phoenix Suns, was an assistant on Doc Rivers' staff with the LA Clippers last season, and then he went to Golden State this past season under Steve Kerr's staff. So head coaching record is as follows: 94-95 with the Miami Heat, 15-21. That was his only year with Miami. As I corrected Michael Bullock on, an overall record of 73-72 with the Detroit Pistons. He got them to the playoffs. You remember it was during that lockout short in 98-99 season. They lost in the first round that year. Lost a tough 5-game series to the Atlanta Hawks in the first round that year. Los Angeles Clippers, not so good. An overall record of 89-133 when he was, by the time of his firing in LA. But then his greatest success, of course, came with the Phoenix Suns. Well, he only had that one good year. That was the 09-10 season, the 54-28 year. Made it to the conference finals, lost to the Los Angeles Lakers. Lakers, of course, went on to win the championship, that unforgettable 7-game series with the Celtics. I mean, who will ever forget that series, especially Game 7? I mean, that was, chock full of Shakespearean drama, as everybody knows. 112, 33, 168, and trying to do the quick math in my head here. 168 and I believe 144 was his record with the Phoenix Suns. He was 12-9. His overall regular season record was 335-370. In his playoff record, 12-9. He was 2-3 in 99, and then 10-6 in that 09-10 season in his 2 playoff appearances. So he has a championship under his credit. He was an assistant, like I said, on that Kansas team that won the national championship in 1988. I believe Larry Brown was the head coach. Danny and the Miracles. Danny Manning and that great team that they had there in Lawrence, Kansas that year. And who knows? By the time he gets to New Orleans next season, he could have an NBA championship ring on his hand with the Golden State Warriors. Because remember, the Golden State Warriors, they're in the NBA Finals right now. And they have a 1-0 lead on the Cleveland Cavaliers after that thrilling Game 1 on Thursday night. That 108-100 overtime victory at the Oracle the other night. So, yeah. I've always liked his body of work. He's had some, like Michael Bullock said, some up and down years. And I think, personally, I think he's better as an assistant than a head coach. But we'll have to wait and see because, he's got a great young team in New Orleans, like Michael Bullock mentioned. Anthony Davis in particular. We all know his track record. So, yeah, I'm definitely liking what I see with Alvin Gentry. The New Orleans Pelicans, they made the playoffs this past year. They were the number 8 seed in the Western Conference. They had the unenviable task of having to face the Golden State Warriors in the first round, and unfortunately, they got swept 4 in a row by Steph Curry and company. So, and that's what led to Monty Williams being fired. So he takes over from Monty Williams. Per team policy, the terms of the contract not disclosed at this time. So we don't have the details on what the terms are for Gentry's new deal. So yeah. But overall, he's a great assistant. He's not the best head coach. Like I said, I think he's better as an assistant, but we'll see what happens. I definitely think it's a solid hire by the New Orleans Pelicans, and I think New Orleans will definitely. I could definitely see New Orleans making it back to the postseason again next season. If I'm being quite honest with you, so we'll see about it. So with that said, we're going to move on to our next our third and final NBA topic. Yep. I actually messaged Michael Fletcher, to see if he was going to be joining us for tonight's show. Unfortunately, Michael Fletcher will not be joining us. I asked him if he was in or out for the night's show. He said he's out, so he just messaged me back. So I'm sorry, my friends. There will be, in addition to no Derek Ferrera, there will be no Michael Fletcher either. So it is now officially the Yes Movement show here tonight. So even though it's not the same without Derek and damn sure without Fletch either. So yeah. But hopefully we'll have Fletch back for the Wrestling Forum on Monday night. But then again, same can be said for Derek Ferrera. So all right, moving on here. We're going to move on to our next topic here on this special Saturday night edition of Strictly Sports. It is our third and final NBA topic, which is, of course, the big story, of course, Kyrie Irving. As you know, in the latter stages of Game 1 of the NBA Finals this past Thursday night, Kyrie Irving fractured his knee, out for the remainder of the series. He's going to undergo surgery. Wow. This is a major blow to the Cleveland Cavaliers, without question. I mean, they're already without Kevin Love. As you know, Kevin Love injured him. He hurt his shoulder in the clinching game of their first round series against Michael Bullock's Boston Celtics, as you know, at TD Garden. He got hurt during a scrum with Kelly Olynyk, and that's what caused Kevin Love to be out for the remainder of this postseason. And now they've lost another member of that alleged big three, and that is Kyrie Irving. You all know Kyrie Irving was a star at Duke. Ask Michael Fletcher; he'll tell you firsthand how great Kyrie Irving was with his Dukies a few years ago. So now he's gone. So now LeBron is going to have to rely on his bench guys pretty much. I mean, the guys like Matthew Dellavedova and Tristan Thompson, who have definitely done an admirable job. I saw these two guys firsthand during the Cavs' second round series with my Chicago Bulls, and let me tell you, those guys were beasts, especially Tristan Thompson. I mean, he's a rebounding machine. So I love Tristan Thompson's work. I like Dellavedova's work, and I also like the body of work of Mozgov. Mozgov, he's solid. They also still have J.R. Smith and Iman Shumpert. But and even though they still have the best player in the world, LeBron, whatever, now Michael Bullock and I, this is one of the rare times where we're actually disagreeing about something. Normally we agree on damn near everything. But this time around, we actually disagree about who's going to win this series. I mean, I said I had Golden State winning this series, where he actually thinks Cleveland's going to win this series. I don't know about this now, man. I mean, now that they're already without Love.
Well, this was before the Kyrie Irving injury.
Of course. So definitely. I mean, that's definitely. But you may have to rethink that pick now. I mean, now that Kyrie Irving is gone. So but to me, it's a big blow for the Cleveland Cavaliers, and like I said, they're already without Love, and I like Golden State before, but now I really like Golden State's chances of coming out of this series as the NBA World Champions. I really do, and now, honestly, I thought this series was going to go maybe 6 or 7, but without Irving, I mean, this series could be even shorter. This series could be maybe. Could it be a sweep, or could it even be 5? I don't know. I think Cleveland might be good enough for 1, but I really don't think they can. They're certainly not going to win this series now. I feel bad for the city of Cleveland. I really do. I mean, I really want to see them, win their first pro sports title since the Cleveland Browns won the old NFL championship in 1964. But I'm sorry, Cleveland fans. I'm afraid I've got some bad news. Now with this injury, I think the Golden State Warriors are going to win the NBA championship, like I initially had them winning this championship already. Had Irving not gotten hurt, I would have said maybe 6 or 7 for this series, but I think we're looking at right around 4 to 5, if I'm being honest with you. even though you still got LeBron, I get it. The loss of Irving, I mean, who was a great all-around player, I really just don't think Cleveland's going to be able to overcome this injury. So, no Irving, no Love, no championship for Cleveland, I'm afraid. So, I feel bad for you boys, but that's it. I mean, I think this championship is now Golden State's to lose. I really do. And tomorrow now, I honestly think is a bit of a must-win for the Cleveland Cavaliers. If they go down 0-2, then I really don't see how they can come back and win this series. I really don't. So it's unfortunate, but for the Cavs, they're going to have to move on. Kyrie Irving, like I said, phenomenal player at Duke, great all-around player, but I'm sorry, I don't like their chances. I didn't like them before. I damn sure don't like them now. Sorry. So, Michael Bullock, do you still think Cleveland's going to win this series now, or are you going to join on the Warriors side of things?
Well, first off, let me talk about the Kyrie Irving injury. I mean, man, you talk about a huge blow. I mean, it was bad enough that they already lost Kevin Love for the postseason because of the shoulder injury that he suffered at the during that Celtics Cavs series. But Irving was already injured. I mean, he continued to play through the pain, but now it really got worse when on that play in Game 1, he tried to make a move and ended up fracturing his kneecap. And as a matter of fact, he actually had surgery today, which obviously went successful, and he'll be out not just for the rest of this finals, but he'll be out 3 to 4 months. But he should be good and ready to go for the start of training camp for the Cavs. So yeah, it's a tough blow. I mean, yeah, Anthony Florio and we had a chat. I originally said of course, this was before the Kyrie Irving injury. I said that I thought the Cavs were going to win the series in 7 games because, I mean, what a story it would be for LeBron James to come back home to Cleveland and finally deliver what he couldn't do in his first go around with Cleveland, which was an NBA title. We actually got Michael Fletcher with us here. Yeah, so major surprise here, especially after what Florio just said. But yeah, getting back to this, I did say 7 games the Cavs were going to win, but I hate to say it, but I'm jumping off the Cavs bandwagon, and I'm jumping on the Warriors bandwagon now, because let's just face it, the Golden State Warriors, they're showing you why they're the best team in the NBA, and let's just say they have the reigning MVP, Steph Curry, which last time I checked was a damn good player. And what Steve Kerr has done with that team, I mean, in his first year as the head coach of that team, I mean, he's got this team playing excellent basketball, and yeah, he's got them in the finals for the first time since 1975. And I'll tell you what, man, now with this injury, I wouldn't be surprised and that this ends in a sweep, or maybe it goes a 5th game. But either way, Golden State's winning this, no doubt about it. Now, I mean, would I be surprised if Cleveland somehow does win the championship? No, I wouldn't be surprised. But in the end, I just like Golden State's body of work. So yeah, the Irving injury, a huge loss for them, but yeah, when he comes back healthy, and Kevin Love does come back healthy as well, I think this team will once again be a force in the Eastern Conference. So yeah, so big loss for the Cavs, and I think their championship dreams just went down the toilet. So with that being said, I don't know if Fletch wants to get into this. So if he does, I will toss it to him.
Well, I gotta let me set him up, Michael Bullock. Well, first off, Michael Fletcher, glad to have you. I mean, I didn't think we were going to see you, but I'm glad you decided to join us for this special Saturday night edition of Strictly Sports. Um, I want to catch you up real quick on what we talked about. We talked about Cam Newton signing that extension with Carolina. We also talked about that Jacksonville Buffalo game in London that's going to be streamed on the Yahoo.
Okay.
Um, Fred Hoiberg becoming the coach of our team, the Chicago Bulls. Alvin Gentry becoming the new head coach of the New Orleans Pelicans, and of course the devastating injury to your former Dookie, Kyrie Irving, the knee injury, the fractured knee that's going to sideline him for the rest of this NBA Finals series. So let's get your quick thoughts on all those things I just mentioned.
All right. Well, I wasn't thinking about coming on the show tonight because I did have some personal things outside of the Strictly Sports show. Um, I was also covering the Miguel Cotto fight tonight as well. I was hanging with my partner in crime and a member of my crew, um, basically the one of the members of the Cerebral Vipers crew, Alex Zapata tonight, and we were chilling. We actually got out of here, and because the fight kind of ended early, it actually ended in the fourth round. Then we were watching the UFC fight, Dustin Poirier and Yuri Gonzalez, and that fight just ended. So he bounced. He exits stage left. I'm like, you know what? Why the heck not? I kind of promised I was gonna be here tonight, and you know me. Yeah, sometimes things do happen that's kind of out of my control. We all have lives. I think Derek Ferreira says it best. We all have lives outside of strictly sports or wrestling form. But I'm like, you know what? I kind of was alluding that I was gonna be here tonight. I'm here, so let's do it. All right. So as far as the Cam Newton goes, he's the franchise quarterback of the Carolina Panthers. It's a great sign for him. It solidifies him now as one of the highest paid quarterbacks in the NFL. Does he really deserve it? Some people say yes, some people say no. I mean, he has been injury prone in the last few years, and in this day and age in the NFL, last year, as everybody knows, Carolina really did not have a tremendous season at all, actually a losing record, but they did win the division because the division was so bad. Hopefully that doesn't happen again this year. Um, we'll wait and see what happens when September rolls around. But he once again, he was the guy who kind of is the one that really makes the thing go for Carolina. So solidifying him, inking him to a long-term deal, I think is the right thing to do, and I think was the necessary and definitely a positive reinforcement, because that pretty much tells the fans, he's our guy. We're not going to stray away from him. He's going to be the future of your team. He is the future. The future is now. And we are going to put this jetpack on him. Now Cam has to go out there and produce. And that means he's got to have a tremendous season. You know what? He's got some weapons. Calvin Benjamin, I think, is a stud ready to break out. And then remember, he had D'Angelo Williams and Jonathan Stewart. Those two guys, if they're healthy, are probably a great 1-2 punch of a running back system in Carolina's backfield, no doubt about it. We'll wait and see how that plays out in the upcoming season. As it pertains to Buffalo and Jacksonville, you know what? I'm thrilled for the NFL fans. I think this is basically for those fans who don't necessarily get to see the game. You're gonna be enthralled, and I applaud National Football League, Roger Goodell, and Yahoo Sports for pulling this off and doing this game, and for us to actually get the opportunity of a lifetime to see a live stream game on Yahoo Sports for the whole world to see, I think it's gonna be a tremendous step in the right direction. You know, there was some rumors a few years ago that they were thinking about doing the NFL Sunday Ticket exclusively on YouTube.com. And before, because there was a major contract dispute between them and DirecTV, and there was rumors about possibly that happening. Now, a lot of people were like, well, does that mean the games will be for free? Do we have to pay a fee? What was going to happen? Nobody really knew. And then in the 11th hour, DirecTV secured the rights to the Sunday Ticket again. They basically got, I think it was like a 3 or 4 year extension with the NFL, and I think it cost like about 1.5, almost $2 billion to do that. So that pretty much squared away. But for the casual NFL fan, I mean, this is gonna be a landmark moment, and hopefully this might be a sign of things to come in the near future. Maybe if this parlays and goes successful, maybe we might start seeing live streaming NFL games, you know, through a more broader spectrum of the NFL. You know, from, you know, maybe we'll see more games in London. They were talking about doing one in Mexico next year. They're talking about maybe doing a game in Berlin, Germany. And, you know, Berlin was definitely the epicenter today with the UEFA Champions League final. But that's for another discussion for another day with Derek Ferreira and myself. Maybe he'll let me do a sports blog entry so that I can put my 2 cents in the game. But again, I gotta confer with Ferreira and the webmasters of the sports blog, the Strictly Sports blog, before I can say anything about that. So we'll leave that at that. For the NBA, for Hosberg to come to Chicago, you know, I really voiced my displeasure about how Chicago let Tom Thibodeau go, and I talked it over with Alex, and he was ripping on the Bulls, no doubt about it, well deserved. I talked with Kaiser Butler. She went livid with Chicago. She flipped out, basically exploding on the Bulls. I mean, these 2 people are the 2 people that I turn to for the NBA, and of course, I'm practically Mr. NBA, along with Mr. NFL, and that's why I am really probably the czar of our Strictly Sports crew when it comes to the NBA. You know, Anthony is the pulse in baseball and hockey. Mike Bullock is well versed in practically all sports. Derek Ferreira is well versed in all sports, and he does bring more of the international flavor, especially with wrestling and with the soccer. He brings that international flavor to our show. And then me, yes, I'm pretty good in baseball. I'm pretty good, you know, I'm pretty good in hockey, pretty good in baseball, but you bring me to the NFL, you bring me to the NBA, and you really see me shine under the lights, under the spotlight. So, you know, Forsberg, you know, had a great success with Iowa State, definitely was a good coach with them. But remember, guys, this is a college coach trying to transition into the NBA. 9 times out of 10, this does not work. I mean, there's very few that can take the knowledge from the college game and have a success in the NBA. I know Michael Bullock knows this better than anybody else. Rick Pitino came from the University of Kentucky and was the head coach of the Boston Celtics. And if you remember, that was an absolute crash and burn, and they went nowhere. and he basically exit stage left, went back to college, went back to Louisville, and he's had like his success has been monumental over there. I think the only coach that I can ever think of that actually transitioned from the college game to the NBA and had success was Larry Brown, because he's the only one in this entire basketball era, before anything else, he was the first guy to do this, to win an NCAA and NBA world titles, to win a national championship in the NCAA and an NBA world championship with the Detroit basketball Pistons. So, yes, I don't know how I'm going to feel about this. As a matter of fact, Anthony, I'll be blunt with you here. As a Chicago Bulls fan, I'm very apprehensive about this move more than anything else. Now, as far as the Allen Gentry move goes, I like this a lot better for New Orleans. I think they picked up a great coach, a very good guy who's very knowledgeable of the game. He used to play in the NBA as well, so he's well versed in that. And I like Gentry's style of coaching. I think he's a no-nonsense guy. He brings something to the table, which I think is going to be very tough. And he reminds me a little bit of Tom Thibodeau. And that's why I believe New Orleans, and I'm going to go out on a limb right here, and I'm going to make a bold statement. I think the New Orleans Pelicans is going to be in the playoffs next year. We're making that bold prediction right here tonight on June 6th, 2015, or like my buddy used to say, I believe the New Orleans Pelicans will be in the NBA postseason 1 year from now. And now I don't know how far they're going to go. I think they could easily be out in the first or second round. I don't got them winning the title. However, I do believe they got the team and the makeup, and as long as Anthony Davis remains healthy and doesn't get hurt, I think they will make the postseason next year. No, mark my words. As far as the NBA Finals go, at first I had Golden State in 7 games. I believe it's now going to be 5 or 6. I think the Kyrie Irving injury is absolutely devastating, and it will definitely hurt them in the long term. I just don't know how they can actually recover from that type of loss. I think it is a monumental loss. It is a bad loss for Cleveland, no doubt about it. That really puts a lot of pressure on LeBron James, but who else is going to have to step up? Iman Shumpert's going to have to step up. J.R. Smith is going to have to step up now, because those two men are now going to be the point guards for the Cleveland Cavaliers, and they are going to have to step up. James Jones is going to have to step up as well. Tristan Thompson has been amazing in this series. Has been amazing. I mean, he was an absolute terror on the boards in Game 1 of the NBA Finals. I mean, he played out of his mind in Game 1. Timothy Mozgov also played a tremendous game in Game 1, but there's too many weapons for Golden State. When you got Barnes, Thompson, Curry, the Splash Brothers, if they start draining threes, this is going to be an open and shut case in my eyes. Andrew Bogut, yeah, some people call him soft. I mean, he's probably softer than putty, in my opinion. But the thing is, he brings something to the table that I like, and I hope that he continues. He wasn't spectacular in Game 1. I'm expecting something better in Game 2 as it relates to him. But in my opinion, I believe when this is all said and done, the Golden State Warriors will capture the NBA title for only the second time in their history as a franchise. I believe, unfortunately, the woes of Cleveland will continue. I got the Warriors winning the title in 5 to 6 games. I think we're all caught up. So Anthony, let's move on.
Yeah, you are indeed all caught up, Michael Fletcher, and we're gonna move on now. We're gonna give you a little rest because Michael Bullock's gonna be leading off on our next the next topic on our docket here. And you remember how Michael Fletcher and I we had done the Ranger roundups for throughout this Stanley Cup playoff year. Well, we're gonna bring a little of that flavor here because we're gonna recap tonight's Game 2 of the Stanley Cup Finals between the Chicago Blackhawks and the Tampa Bay Lightning. The Tampa Bay Lightning won the game tonight by a final score of 4-3 at the Amalie Arena up in Tampa. Before I throw it to Michael Bullock, I'm going to run down the numbers real fast. Shots on goal were 29-24 in favor of the Chicago Blackhawks. It was 12-11 Tampa after one. Then it was 10-8 Tampa in the second. And then in the third, 10-2 in favor of Chicago. Both teams were 1 for 3 on the power play. Chicago dominated the faceoffs 35-19. 65% for Chicago, 35% for Tampa. The hits were 33-28 in favor of Tampa Bay, and the block shots were 12-9 in favor of the Chicago Blackhawks. The scoring is as follows. Cedric Paquette with his second of the playoffs, assisted by Ryan Callahan and Victor Hedman at 12:56 of the first, 1-0 Tampa Bay. Second period, Andrew Shaw with his fifth of the playoffs, assisted by Marcus Kruger and Andrew Desjardins at 3:04 of the second, tied the game at 1. And then Toivu Teravainen with his fourth of the playoffs on a power play from Marian Hossa and Patrick Sharp at 5:20 of the second, 2-1 Chicago. And then at 6:52 of the second, Nikita Kucherov scored his 10th of the playoffs, assisted by Jason Garrison and Braden Coburn. That tied the game at 2. And then at 13:58 of the second, Tyler Johnson with his 13th goal of the playoffs, assisted by Nikita Kucherov, made it 3-2 Tampa Bay. Third period, 3:38 into the third, Brent Seabrook, his 7th of the playoffs. Jonathan Toews and Johnny Oduya, the assists, tied the game at 3. And then Tampa with the game winner, 8:49 of the third, Jason Garrison, his second, assisted by Victor Hedman and Ryan Callahan. That's it, 4-3 in favor of the Tampa Bay Lightning. 3 stars of the game. Third star, Toivu Teravainen, while Chicago had a goal. Number 2 star was Victor Hedman, 2 assists for the Tampa Bay Lightning. And the number 1 star of the game, Jason Garrison, a goal and an assist. He scored the game-winning goal at 8:49 of the third for a 4-3 win by the Tampa Bay Lightning. Corey Crawford, 20 saves on 24 shots. And a very interesting dynamic here for the Tampa Bay Lightning. They basically had a goalie by committee here tonight. Ben Bishop, 21 saves on 24 shots. And then Andrei Vasilevsky, in relief, 5 saves on 5 shots. Major difference maker there. So with that said, Michael Bullock, let's get your thoughts, and then you'll throw it to Fletch, and then I'll for last, and then I'll do my Barry Melrose routine. So I'm gonna basically throw it to our Pierre Maguire here, Michael Bullock. Your thoughts on Game 2?
All right. Yeah. I mean, Tampa Bay. I mean, what can you say? They needed this bounce back win after what happened in Game 1 when they basically had a 1-0 lead and looked like they were on their way to winning Game 1. When all of a sudden the Chicago Blackhawks scored 2 unanswered goals and stole they basically stole Game 1 away from the Tampa Bay Lightning. But then again, that's the reason why Chicago they basically it's been there, done that. I mean, that's why they won the Stanley Cup in 2010, and then of course in 2013, of course, over my Boston Bruins. But they're showing you why they've been here before. But Tampa Bay, I mean, a nice bounce back win here tonight. I mean, Garrison, like you said, with the goal to give them the win. Yeah, and Kucherov also had a goal, and Paquette had one as well. But the big story here, Ben Bishop. I mean, he had to leave because of an injury, an undisclosed injury. Uh, Val, I can't even pronounce his name. Visky ended up taking over. So,
Vasilevsky.
oh, thank you again for yeah. It's usually tough to pronounce these names, but yeah, he stepped in and finished off for him. But now the question is Ben Bishop going to be ready to go for Game 3? But we'll have to wait and see. But I thought Chicago they played well as well. I mean, like you said, Brett Seabrook had a goal, like you said. Shaw had one, and yeah, but for Corey Crawford, not his best game in the short 2 games here in the Stanley Cup Finals, and yeah, and the thing is, Chicago, they won the faceoffs 35-19, and they still lost the game. And yeah, then and they and they didn't, and they turned the puck over 8 times while Tampa Bay turned it over 11 times. So it's a game that basically I think Chicago could have won. They could have gone up 2-0 in this series, but unfortunately, it didn't happen. Tampa really needed this one, and now it's on to Chicago for Game 3. So can Chicago protect its home ice? And yes, so we'll have to wait and see. So nice win for the Lightning. So with that being said, Fletcher, your thoughts on tonight's Game 2 of the Stanley Cup Finals?
All I can say is that, Chicago stole the momentum in game 1. Tampa got the momentum right back. They needed this game because you don't want to go down 0-2, going to the Madhouse on Madison, the UC, the United Center. That would have been a real tough situation for Tampa to get out of, but it's good to get that game out of there, get the win, and the way that they did it tonight, that was, well, Anthony, you said bully hockey was Tampa's ammo. That's what you got to see tonight. It was a hard fought game, a scrappy battle from back to forth. Basically, it basically tells you the first period and the second period kind of was a little evenly matched. Chicago tried to force the issue in the third, but Tampa was like, we ain't going down like this. You're going to have to kill us to beat us. And unfortunately, Chicago just didn't make enough plays at the end. And Tampa, yeah, the goaltending issue is going to be very um, evident, and we're going to have to wait and see because remember, it's not a long layoff. It's going to be a short layoff. The next game is actually Monday night, uh, right in Chicago because it's normally 2 days off, and then a three. Unfortunately for Tampa, you're only going to have a couple of nights to think about what you're going to do. If Bishop's not severely hurt, then he'll probably be behind the pipes. If if he's a no go, then who knows where it goes from there. Then the backup's gonna have to step up and next man up. But the thing is that what really made Tampa a real strong team and a real good team is that the triplets. Those were the guys who were really coming out and they were exploding. Stamkos, Johnson, uh, Tarasenko. If they get going, look out. This is going to get really dangerous. This is going to get really hairy. But if you really think about it, Anthony, and you know this better because you've been following it, but you haven't really called Johnson's name at all in this Stanley Cup final. You haven't called Steven Stamkos' name in the Stanley Cup final. They've been pretty quiet, relatively in this series. They were terrors for the New York Rangers in the Eastern Conference Final, and that's why New York is out and they're in here. But up to this point, we haven't heard from And we haven't heard that many moments from the triplets yet. So we'll wait and see. But that's also credit to Chicago's D. That's Duncan Keith. That's Andrew Shaw. You gotta give credit to Jonathan Tays, Patrick Kane, and them guys, and Crawford. Crawford's had his moments where he's been really, really good and really, really bad. Tonight was not his night. Hopefully he'll be able to rebound, and he's going to have a lot of fans, at least 20, 21, 22,000 Blackhawk fans who's going to be rallying around him as now we shift gears to game 3 of these Stanley Cup finals. So with that said, we'll wait and see what happens then. Anthony, it's yours.
Well, I don't know, maybe you flanked out or something, but Tyler Johnson actually scored a goal tonight. He actually did score a goal tonight. Tyler Johnson did. So did Nikita Kucherov. I think that's the other triplet you were thinking of. Tarasenko was in St. Louis. That's just to clear things up with that, Fletch. But now it comes. I'm going to bring that Ranger Roundup flavor to this Stanley Cup Game 2 recap here. I'm going to do what I always did during the Ranger Roundup, and that is who I felt were the best players on the ice. And of course, you got to start with the winners. Which was, of course, the Tampa Bay Lightning. And to me, the best player on the ice tonight, if I got to be honest with you, I got to say it was our old friend Fletch. I got to say it was Ryan Callahan. I mean, 5 hits tonight. He had 5 hits, and he also had a block tonight. I'm also going to show some love to Nikita Kucherov. I thought he played very well tonight with 5 hits. In addition to a goal and an assist, Callahan also had 2 assists tonight. But Callahan, I thought, was by a smidge the best player on the ice for the Tampa Bay Lightning tonight, including a diving stop on a play by Chicago as they were trying to score. Kucherov, like I said, he's another one of my stars tonight with 5 hits, with a goal and an assist tonight. Andre Palat, I called his name a lot during our roundup split. I mean, he was a terror in our series. 4 hits. He also had a takeaway. Let me see. Stamkos, 4. He may not have found the score sheet, but he did have 4 hits tonight. And that's how important that is. And he also won 4 faceoffs, by the way. Our other old friend, Brian Boyle. I thought Boyle played a great game tonight. Had 3 hits, won 4 faceoffs. Anton Strawman, I gotta call his name. 2 hits, had a takeaway. Paquette, I thought Paquette played great tonight. 2 hits. With a block, also had a goal, scored the first goal of the game, also won 6 faceoffs. Phil Pula, 4 faceoff wins. I thought he had a solid game. Braden Coburn, I thought played well tonight with 2 hits and 2 blocks. JT Brown, solid game from him, had a hit and a block. And Tyler Johnson, I got to call in Tyler Johnson, 3 hits, had a takeaway, also scored a goal tonight. Finally got his goal in the finals. As you know, he had 6 goals against Detroit in the first round, 2 against Montreal, 4 against the Rangers, and yeah. And Jonathan Drouin had a hit, and Phil Pula, in addition to his 4 faceoffs, had a takeaway. So yeah, and Killorn had a takeaway. Brendan Morrow had a block and a takeaway. So yeah. The only guy I thought could have done, I mean, there are a couple of guys who I felt could have done better. Well, there's one guy in particular that I thought could have done better tonight, and that was Andre Schuster. Didn't really do anything for me tonight. Garrison, the only reason why I'm not all over Garrison is because he had a goal. He scored the winning goal tonight. Other than that, and the assists, other than his goal and assist, he didn't really do anything either. Hedman had only 1 hit and 1 takeaway, so. But he made up for that with 2 assists. Those are a couple of guys I want to see better efforts from in Game 3. But those other guys that I mentioned, I thought they were the best players on the ice tonight for the Tampa Bay Lightning, especially Ryan Callahan. I mean, the game that he had tonight with the 5 hits and the blocks. So, and then Kucherov also had the 5 hits. So in a way, it's kind of a tie between Ryan Callahan and Nikita Kucherov. I thought those were the 2 best players on the ice for the Tampa Bay Lightning tonight. I don't know what's going on with this goalie situation, but we'll have to wait and see what happens to that. You remember, Fletch, the last time we saw Vasilevsky, we saw him in Game 6 of our series against the Rangers. After, of course, our boys absolutely lit up Ben Bishop, but unfortunately, when it came to Game 7, nothing to show for it. But boy, howdy do we wish. But nonetheless, that's how I feel about it. That's just if you're wondering who Vasilevsky is, but Vasilevsky was fantastic in relief. So I'm not saying he was anything like Madison Bumgarner was in Game 7 of last year's World Series, but it definitely ranks up there as a great relief performance. Now for the Chicago Blackhawks, who did I feel were the best players for the Chicago Blackhawks? I gotta say Patrick Sharp. I thought Patrick Sharp had a great game tonight. Had 5 hits. I'll also call in Nicholas Jarmelson. I thought Jarmelson had a very good game tonight. Had 4 blocks and a hit. Andrew Desjardins had 3 hits and a takeaway. Also had an assist. Duncan Keith, of course, you'd be remiss if you didn't mention Duncan Keith. He's always one of their stars of the night. 3 blocks and a hit. I thought he had a very good game tonight. Same thing with Johnny Oduya. I thought Oduya had a great game tonight with 3 blocks and a hit. Also had an assist. Let me see here. Seabrook, I thought Brent Seabrook had a great game tonight. Had a goal. Also had 3 hits and a block. Let me see. Shaw had a goal with a hit. Teravainen. I mean, this young man is continuing to impress me with his body of work over the last few games. I think this Teravainen kid is going to be a major star for years to come. 1 hit for him. Hassel had a goal. Tays had a hit and a takeaway with an assist. Vermette with a hit, and Versteeg also had a hit tonight. So Hossa had a solid game. Had an assist, block and a hit. Kane had a couple hits. David Rundblad had a couple of hits. Same thing can be said for Brandon Saad. Also had a couple hits and a takeaway. So those were pretty much my stars of the game for the Chicago Blackhawks. And of course Crawford, not one of his better efforts. I mean, I can't remember the last time he didn't really have that great of an effort. Probably since back in the first round against the Nashville Predators. Those couple of games when he got roughed up and they had to bring in Scotty Darling for relief. So huge win for the Tampa Bay Lightning. They really needed this win. In fact, I actually went on the record and called this a must-win game for the Tampa Bay Lightning because if they had fallen behind 0-2 going back to Chicago, they would have been in big trouble. But ask Michael Fletcher and I, and we'll tell you firsthand how lethal this Tampa Bay Lightning team is. I mean, 1 minute you think you have them down, the next minute they bounce back. I mean, and we'll tell you, I mean, in the Eastern Conference Finals against the New York Rangers, I mean, Game 4, Rangers absolutely pounded Tampa to a pulp, 5-1, and then what happens? Game 5, Tampa Bay goes into Madison Square Garden and absolutely dominates us and wins the game 2-0. Game 6, Rangers pound Tampa to a damn near bloody pulp again, 7-3. Bishop gets pulled, Vasilevsky comes in. And then Game 7, you think the Rangers have all the momentum in the world? No. Tampa Bay, basically a carbon copy of Game 5. That's basically what it was. And then Tampa loses Game 1, heartbreaking fashion. And what does Tampa do? They do what they've done so damn well this postseason. They bounce back. So when you think this team is dead, no, this team's got 9 freaking lives. And that's why Michael Fletcher was scared to death of this team going into the Stanley Cup playoff year. And that's why he did not. He was hoping that our team, the Rangers, were not going to see this team. And unfortunately, we did. And, well, they had their way with us. So that's basically what it was. So this series is not over by any means. I don't know who's going to win this Stanley Cup. I'll be honest with you. I want the Chicago Blackhawks to win it only because of our friend Matt Ward, so we can have something to celebrate, keep it within the Strictly Sports family, which he is a proud member of. But that's my heart. My heart's telling me Chicago, but somehow my gut is telling me that Tampa Bay is going to win the Stanley Cup. So we'll have to wait and see on that. So, oh boy, what a great couple of games, huh? So Game 3 Monday night, Game 4 will be on Wednesday, and we'll have a Game 5. Game 5 will be a week from tonight, next Saturday night. So there you have it. So those are at least the next 3 games of this Stanley Cup Finals. So it's going to be a great series, I think. But like I said, guts telling me Tampa Bay is going to win the Cup, but my heart wants Chicago to win it, only because of, like I said, because of our friend Matt Ward, and we hope that he can have something to celebrate. And if they do, we'll celebrate with you, man, like we did a couple years ago. So all right, so that takes care of that. couple more items on the docket here. We got 4 more items to go here. Try to get into those quick. In the world of college football, the UAB football program. As you know, the UAB football program originally was canceled, but now UAB football is going to be reinstated. I believe going into the 2016 season, I think. So, Michael Fletcher, your thoughts on the reinstatement of University of Alabama Birmingham football?
It's always good to get a reinstatement, and this is actually a great time for them. UAB, I understand why they had to do it. It seemed like at the time they didn't have the money or funding so that they could keep UAB football together, and a lot of people were focusing it as a basketball school than anything else, which is fine. I mean, at the end of the day, you know, an academic thing is really what you're looking for or anything else. And not every sport has football. I know PC doesn't have a college football team, which is a darn shame. But when they made the jump for it and they decided, you know what, let's bring it back, let's do college football again, let's give it another try. I know alumni and I know student body and the whole 9 yards, they're all in on it, they're all aboard on it, and it's good. It's good that they're getting another opportunity. UAB is kind of one of those teams that you don't really know. They're not. Let me tell you, they're not like Alabama. They're not Auburn. They're nowhere in that caliber. They're not in a Tennessee. They're not a Florida. If they were ever located in the SEC, I think they're more of a Conference USA squad, I believe they are. So, I mean, you don't really know what to expect, or you don't know what's going to be brought to the table with UAB. But it is an exciting time because for them, they had their college football, and every Saturday, college football is a passion, and you get those golden moments in college football that you just can't translate anywhere else. So for me, I'm happy with this announcement. I'm happy with the news that UAB is back with college football. There's really nothing more to say. Anthony, it's yours.
Yeah. Buried but not completely dead, UAB's football program is alive and well again. University President Ray Watts announced on Monday that steps are being taken to restore football, bowling, and rifle only 6 months after a highly contentious decision to end the sports. But UAB officials were short on the specifics. But they say they are hoping to play football again by 2016, and that money must be raised by an unstated deadline. Now, of course, UAB supporters, they fought the death of football for months, raising millions of dollars to show their support, releasing documents to contradict administration statements, and trying to politically change the makeup of the University of Alabama's Systems Board of Trustees, which oversees UAB. And there you go. I mean, UAB essentially gave itself a self-imposed death penalty, raising legitimate questions of how much damage will have to be overcome upon reinstatement. But in the process, UAB football arguably generated more support and exposure than any other time in its history. Watts said at a news conference, the biggest reason for the reversal is UAB now has tangible additional financial support that it did not have before. Supporters have committed $17.2 million to cover the athletic department's operating deficit, and they need to produce an additional $13 million for facilities. And 3 conditions have to be needed for the return of the football. They cannot exceed the amount of institutional support it currently provides for athletics. Public and private donors must meet reasonable timelines to convert their pledges into money. And UAB will not borrow money to improve outdated athletic facilities. They're a rare football bowl subdivision school that for years has not carried an annual debt service due to athletics. So that pretty much is the schematics about it. Yes, Fletch, you're right. It's a Conference USA school. Those are pretty much the all of the major. That's the major details about what's the latest in that when it comes to the UAB football situation. So I'm definitely happy to see it come back. I mean, I remember hearing about it when they said they were going to cancel it. but and how devastated the student body at UAB was about it. But I'm definitely very pleased that they've, somehow, some way managed to find the support. And I'm hopeful that within the next year, UAB football will be fully reinstated and, give that student body, something to look forward to. Because, just like the NFL on Sundays, we love our college football on Saturdays. We may not be UAB fans, Michael Bullock and Michael Fletcher, of course, both being the big-time Michigan marks, whereas Derek Ferrera and I are the big-time marks for Notre Dame. But on behalf of all of us,
don't forget, there's also the U for me too. I'm also a U, a member of the U. So
yes, the Miami Hurricanes.
Miami Hurricanes, second favorite team, but I definitely have the love for them too.
Oh, of course, and just like me, I mean, I also have a second favorite myself, but unfortunately, it's one of your conference rivals, Michigan State. But because I love that, how much I love their body of work, especially this past season. But nonetheless, I mean, I'm rooting for this whole thing to work itself out, and I'm hopeful that next year, their program will be reinstated, and the student body will, will go from tears of sorrow to tears of joy. So it gives the fans, and it gives the student body, like I said, really something to look forward to after a very stressful week. And trust me, they have it rough down there. So that's pretty much all I can say about it. So Michael Ball, let's get your quick thoughts on UAB football.
It's good to have the UAB football program back. I mean, after the school decided to cancel the program, but like you said, I mean, they're nowhere near where the other major schools or major conferences. I mean, like an Alabama or Ohio State or Michigan. I mean, I can go on and on and on about it. But yeah, there were times they had some success, UAB, but the thing is, I mean, like I said, they're good, not great, but we'll have to wait and see what happens when the football program is back up and running. So, yeah, you know what, you guys pretty much touched on everything. So with that being said, I think we're just going to move on, Florio.
Michael Fletcher, you obviously didn't join us at the start of our show. Derek Ferrera Derek Ferrera says we're going to hold off on the Triple Crown until Friday night because he wants to be a part of the discussions. So that's the only reason why we didn't get into it tonight. Believe me, I went to bat. I went to bat for that. I really did. I actually had a Facebook message chat with Derek Ferrera. I asked if we could not only talk about it, but lead off tonight's show with that. But unfortunately, Derek said no. He overruled me. So, I'm not going against him. So that's all there is to it. But this Friday night on the next edition of Strictly Sports, we will most definitely get into the historic moment of American Pharoah winning the Triple Crown. So that's all there is to say about that. So all right, we got a few more things here. Of course, I don't know much about this story, but Derek Ferrera wanted us to get into it. I guess there's some kind of academic scandal at the University of North Carolina, and some sanctions that are on that.
Yep, I know everything about this. It actually has to do with the college basketball realm of UNC.
Yeah, and you I think you. You let off on the last one.
Yeah, I won't be able to lead off this time.
Try to fill me in on the details on this.
Okay, what has happened was that there was actually an academic probe that came out not too long ago by the NCAA about basically, it sounds like preferential treatment from North Carolina basketball players was going down for, I want to say, a number of years under Roy Williams' tutelage. Now, we don't know how far back it's going, but they're saying that this could be going back as far as 2012. Basically, there might be some basically some chicanery or some shenanigans that's going on as it pertains to possibly grade swapping, and there was also some under the cover cheating to give preferential treatment to some of the college basketball players. And a report came out. Actually, it was from outside the lines a la ESPN, and they found a few documents of some alleged cheating that was happening in North Carolina's um, school. Now, if this is true, what could be is we might be looking at a possible postseason ban for North Carolina, and this is actually detrimental because many people or many college basketball observers believe that North Carolina is not only a great team, but some actually believe that North Carolina is actually the favorite to be cutting down the nets and might be the 2015-2016 national champions, believe it or not. So that's kind of more or less what the gist is all about, Anthony. Basically, it's academic fraud is what's happening in North Carolina.
Do you know anything about any sanctions or anything?
Well, right now, as far as I know, there hasn't been any sanctions at least levied yet. Basically, what it is that they just posted a letter of notifying North Carolina of what they believe the violations that they are basically up against, and what's going to happen is North Carolina now has, I think, between 60 and 90 days to basically submit their statement or or release any documents that they believe why they're innocent of these charges. And if they are unable to provide or unable to prove the burden of proof, then North Carolina will be subjected to possible penalties. Now, that could be loss of scholarships. That could be, sanctions of, they could be forced of loss of scholarships. But the one thing that is the worst case scenario is that they might be implemented with a postseason ban. Now, if that is the case, if they receive a postseason ban, that means they will be ineligible for the ACC tournament, and more importantly, they would become ineligible to play for the NCAA national championship. They would not be involved in March Madness.
All right. So now that we know all the logistics of that, Michael Bullock, let's get your thoughts on everything that Fletcher just said.
Man, oh man, yeah, this whole academic fraud thing for North Carolina. The sanctions are that they could be facing. Is huge. Like you said, no NCAA tournament, no conference tournament. Yeah. Yeah, well, unfortunately, this is what happens when you get a lot of chicanery when it comes to this. So, yeah, so we'll have to wait and see what happens when it comes to this. So that's pretty much all I can say. Yeah. So I'm actually gonna toss it to Fletch for his thoughts, and I know he's gonna go real deep into this. So, Fletch, I give it to you. Fletch.
All right. I don't know what's going on with Michael Fletcher. Your thoughts on the North Carolina stuff? All right. I think he probably already spoke his piece on the situation. So I'll just take it over from here. Very serious indeed, and you know, let's just hope that it all gets worked out when it comes to the North Carolina basketball situation. Hopefully, this academic thing is not serious, and we'll just take it from there. But Fletch pretty much touched on everything else. So Michael Bullock, I pretty much agree with everything you just said. I'm just gonna move on from that, and now it's time for our double main event. We have a double main event here tonight. Um, Obviously, this is probably news to Michael Fletcher, but it's double main event here on the Strictly Sports. Before we get into our power rankings, Michael Bullock. As you know, our own Michael Bullock last weekend participated in the Special Olympics State Summer Games up at the University of Rhode Island, and he did very well. He won 2 bronze medals, and he also won a gold. So, Michael Bullock, front and center. Let's have your experiences, and how did you do? And oh, by the way, he met someone that we have been dying to get on the show for the last 3 years. So, Michael Bullock, front and center.
All right. Yes, of course, last weekend we had the Special Olympics Rhode Island State Summer Games at the University of Rhode Island, which is always a fun event. It's basically all the Special Olympic athletes from around Rhode Island gathering at the campus of URI for this great event, which is it's basically a 3-day event. Of course, starting Friday. Of course, I had my events 2 of my events Friday, where I obviously got a bronze medal in the 200-meter run and the 4x200 relay. And the thing is with my relay team, my relay team was compiled of Emmett Estrada, and of course myself, and of course Jared Rivers and Kevin Dexter. From the way we started, we were in 5th place, but thanks to us, we caught up, especially me, because I was basically the 4th man. I was bringing it home for the relay team, and caught up, and we somehow got 3rd place, and that was pretty much my day. And then of course we had dinner, of course, at the Rams Den, because Butterfield Dining Hall was being rebuilt or reconstructed. So yeah, we obviously had a really good dinner. It was a turkey dinner there. And of course the dorm where my team, the Special Olympics East Providence team, we stayed at Weldon Hall, and yes, we had bunk beds in our rooms. And unfortunately for me, because me being the tall guy I am, I had the honor of getting the top bunk. So yeah, and then of course we had the opening ceremonies with the parade of athletes. And of course, some of the speakers there were, of course, led by CEO Dennis DeJesus. Of course, we had the Navy marching band, we had some kind of a marching band doing the national anthem, and we had a couple of Special Olympics Rhode Island athletes that were global messengers who got to speak. Their names are Megan Miller and Ian Shepard. And of course, we had the most famous moment of that opening ceremonies, the Flame of Hope, where the torch, where the cauldron was lit and the games were underway. Yeah, and then of course Saturday I had the 100-meter run, and that's where I placed first place with a gold medal. And my sister Jessica, she had 2 events herself that day, with the 50-meter and 100-meter, and she got gold and silver in that. So Yeah, and of course also we had a lot of things going on, a lot of fun activities. Uh, Me and my girlfriend, we were on the games committee. We came up with some, well, because this was a patriotic theme, and we came up with different crosswords, word searches for athletes to do. We had these things called athlete evaluations, where we get feedback from all the athletes about how the games were, and we also had we also had Zumba, we also had yoga going on. We had yeah, and of course they had the WPRI tent all set up, and 3 people were there. Of course, the one who does the evening news at night, Shannon Hagee, she was there. And yes, from the Road Show, Will Gilbert and Michaela Johnson were there, and yes, she actually did post some pictures, and she actually had a picture taken with my team, and I actually managed to even get a selfie with her. So yeah, I mean, it was fun. And then of course we had the big dance Saturday night. And I mean, of course it was a patriotic theme, so I was dressed in red, white, and blue, and we had the motorcycles come in. There was like over 700 motorcyclists that came in. So, and the athletes, I mean, they really enjoy that when the motorcycles come in. So, yeah, and then of course the final day on Sunday, which was basically, it was powerlifting and cycling, and also we had swimming, and this year's swimming event was dedicated to 2 athletes who unfortunately passed away this past year, with Paul Turgeon and Evan Miller. So yeah, it was dedicated to them. So, and a couple of people from who were involved with Special Olympics Rhode Island, who are actually going to be competing at the Special Olympics World Games in California coming up this summer. Maggie Sebastian and her unified partner Marnie are going to be in unified tennis over at the World Games this summer in California. So yeah, so it was a very successful weekend. The weather really turned out great, and I mean, it's always fun. So yeah, so if anybody has any information, of course, wants info about Special Olympics Rhode Island, of course, they can always, of course, contact the Special Olympics office, which was the Special Olympics Rhode Island office in Smithfield. So, and I don't quite have the number, but the thing is, it was a fun weekend. Really looking forward to next year, and of course, Fletch, you and Florio know about the Special Olympics East Providence team, because remember, one year when we were both at Riverside Junior High at the time, we had that big send-off, and I remember seeing you guys there. So yeah, so it was a fun weekend. So yeah, so it's always a great event. So yeah, so that's all I can say. So, do you guys have any questions about the state summer games? Florio?
Now how many medals did you win, Bullock? You said you won 2 bronze and a gold, right?
That's correct. Yes.
All right. You said you won 2 bronze. What events were they in?
It was the 200-meter run and the 4x200 relay.
For the bronze, and what did you win the gold in?
The 100-meter run.
All right. So now you said, of course, he actually sent me the photo. He texted me the photo of him and Michaela Johnson. He got a photo op with Michaela Johnson, by the way, Fletch. How awesome is that? But it's not your first time. Of course, you all remember 3 years ago, Michael Bullock was actually a guest on the Road Show with Dennis DeJesus. They were interviewed by Michaela Johnson in the outdoor area. I remember that very well. Still in my DVR to this day. Oh, by the way. So.
Boy, it's good that you still have it, Florio.
Of course. You think I'm going to get rid of that anytime soon? No way, man. Of course.
And I still have it as well.
Of course. And yeah. So in addition to getting the photo with Michaela Johnson, did you by any chance get to meet Will Gilbert or Shannon Hedge?
Yeah, I did.
Did you get to chat with them or anything?
Oh, I did chat with them. Yeah, and talking about some of the events that I do, talking about my team. So yeah, it was good interacting with them.
Oh yeah. Of course. I hate to be a bit of a knock here, but why didn't you mention the show, man?
Oh man, so, I always keep forgetting when I run into them, but I swear I swear to you, Florio, I swear to you, next time when I do run into them again, I will make a note of it. I will notify them about the show, and hopefully we can get them to watch and maybe even join us.
Oh man, I mean that would definitely be one of the greatest of all time. That's pretty much all I have. Fletch, do you have any questions for Michael Bullock, or should we just move on to the power rankings?
The one thing I would talk about is I want to know about more or less about this the red, white, and blue event. I saw some photos on it. Like, how does that come about? Was that
the reason is, Fletch, because this year's Special Olympics World Summer Games is in the USA. It's in the California area, so that's why, because of that, we decided to make it a patriotic theme just to dedicate the Special Olympics World Games being in the USA area, because the last few times it's been outside the US, a la Ireland or Greece. So this is like the first time in a while we had the pleasure of having the World Games back in the USA. So that's the reason for the theme.
All right, and you actually just got into the parlay about the second question I was going to talk about was the World Games, and do you know at least any members as of now who's going to be representing Team USA as part as any members from the road, at least from your contingent, or is it just like, do you know right now if any of you guys are gonna be a part of the World Games?
Well, like I said, like I mentioned before, there's a couple people that are part of it that are going to be competing in the unified tennis. Their names are Maggie Sebastian and her unified partner Marnie. And I've seen them before. They competed at the USA Games last year in New Jersey. So. Yeah, and I think one of the coaches, the name is Joe Patrick, is going there to represent powerlifting, and I think one of the others is who actually works at the office, Casey Rhodes, is going there to basically sort of to represent Rhode Island. So those are the only 4 people from this area that's going to represent Rhode Island. So in the World Games. So. Yeah, that's pretty much all I can say. So, I think, yeah. Well, actually, let me wait for Fletch. So, Fletch, do you have anything else you want to ask me about, or should we just move on? All right, let me wait for him to get back.
Any other questions, Michael Fletcher, before we move on to the MLB Power Rankings?
All right, let's go.
All right. Well, very good information there, Michael Bullock, about the Special Olympic Summer Games. We appreciate that. So with that said, let's do it. It's time now for the second half of our double main event here tonight. Of course, as always, the Major League Baseball Power Rankings. And I got to tell you, folks, on my end, there are some major shakeups, to say the very least. A couple of new additions. And there's actually a team that's not even going to be there at all that was actually in there last week, and it's a team that has been very good over the last few years. So, Michael Fletcher, do you have your number 10, or do we go to somebody else here?
I say you lead off, Florio.
Yeah, that's how it should be.
Yeah.
All right, that's not a problem. let's see. Let me pull it up here. The like I said, I have a lot of shakeups here. Let me find it here. Forgive me, it's taking it can be slow at times. You know, getting things loaded up here. I got it. It's just taking a little bit here. All right. All right. Let me just say it like this. When it comes to who the dud team is, who will not be in the power rankings, I'm sorry, but the Detroit Tigers, they're not going to be in the power rankings this week. They're gone. I mean, yeah, they won tonight, but they're 2-8 in their last 10 games. They had lost like 7 or 8 in a row prior to tonight. So I'm sorry, but Detroit, see ya. You're out of here. So now as far as who my number 10 is this time around in the Major League Baseball power rankings, it's the first of quite a few new additions. The first number 10 for me, gentlemen, I got to go with the San Diego Padres. The San Diego Padres cracked the power rankings this week. They're on a 4-game winning streak. They're 7-3 in their last 10 games, 29-28 record, and they're playing their best ball at the right time. And let's look and see what they've done. I mean, they did very well against the Mets. A 3-game sweep of the Mets, and so far they're 2 for 2 against the Cincinnati Reds, including a win tonight, 9-7. So they have one more game against the Reds. That's tomorrow, and then starting on Monday, a 4-game series with Michael Fletcher's Atlanta Braves. That's at Turner Field, including a matinee on Thursday. And then next weekend, a big 3-game series with the division-leading Los Angeles Dodgers at home at Petco Park. So 4-game winning streak, 7-3 in their last 10, 29-28. Remember, the rule is the record has to be at least 500 or better to make the power rankings. And even though Detroit's record is the same, Detroit's body of work before tonight was just absolutely horrendous, and that's why Detroit is gone from the power rankings. I told you I was going to have some major shakeups. And here's another one. I mean, and San Diego is now, get this, San Diego is just 3 games behind. They're only 3 games out of first in the NL West. Go figure. So, wow. I'm very impressed with this team's body of work, especially Mikey's old friend, Mr. Kimbrel there. Kimbrel's been doing some things for them already, so I'm not at all surprised by that. So with that said, cracking the top 10 in the power rankings for the first time this season, and who knows, maybe next week they'll be there again. Number 10, the San Diego Padres. So, Michael Bullock, who's your number 10?
I actually agree with you, Florio. I'm actually gonna go with the Padres. I mean, yeah, like you said, the Padres record is the same as the Tigers, but the thing is, the Tigers, like you said, has been struggling. But I mean, I like the team's body of work, especially with Craig Kimbrel and with what we've seen from the other additions like like Justin Upton and yeah, and so like you said, they're only 3 games back in the NL West. So yeah, I think these off-season moves they made is really working out for them. So can they keep this up? We're gonna have to wait and see. So number 10, San Diego, Pledge. I give it to you with your number 10.
I agree. I gotta go with San Diego Padres. You guys pretty much touched on everything, so I'm not gonna waste too much time anymore on it. So let's just go right into number 9.
And I'm pretty sure Michael Bullock doesn't have his number 9 unless he already does. Do you have your number 9?
Just past the Pledge. I'm not
Yeah,
quite ready.
I figured. Fletch, do you have a number 9, or do I have to take it again?
No. I am pretty much set to go. So let me just jump in real quick here. It's just gonna take a second for me to load my screen up. My number 9 is, come on. All right, I got it. All right, guys. So let's call it the way we see it. You know, last week, like Anthony said, Detroit kind of went a little free falling here. They kind of was really one of those teams that, I really thought was going to be a real dangerous team, but unfortunately, as you can tell, it hasn't really panned out at all. My number nine, and I gotta do it. Another team who's on the free fall, and I might take some heat for this, but we'll see. But this is my kind of team that's going the wrong direction. Actually, this is one of two teams that is going in the wrong direction. But I gotta do it. My number nine, and they're also going on a free fall. The Kansas City Royals. I mean, 30 and 23, yes, I get that. But 2 and 8 in the last 10, losers of three in a row, especially after, and then losing technically last night to the Texas Rangers. No, no, no. That is not gonna win me any favors. That's not gonna win any favors in my eyes. And like I said, they are one of two teams that are taking a major dive this week. They're one of them. You'll get to know who my others in a little bit. My number nine, Kansas City Royals, free falling and falling fast. Floor is yours.
Yes, I do agree with you, Fletch. Number nine, it is indeed the Kansas City Royals. I mean, the record's still there. I mean, 30 and 23, but they've lost 3 games in a row. They're 2 and 8 in their last 10 games, and yeah, they're not. They're going the wrong way, and that's not good. Let's see. This past week, I mean, they lost 2 out of 3 to the Cleveland Indians, and so far they're 0 for 2 against the Texas Rangers. And the Texas Rangers, oh, by the way, they're in the power rankings this week. I'll tell you that right now. One more game against Texas tomorrow, and then a huge 3-game series at Target Field in Minnesota against the Minnesota Twins. Major implications right there, boys, right there. And then next weekend, you thought that was big. Oh, it gets even worse. Then they got to go to St. Louis for 3 against the Cardinals. Oh boy, that's going to be some big time, major tough stretch. That's a murderer's row schedule right there. I mean, with the way Texas has been playing and with how Minnesota's been playing, and of course St. Louis, you know how damn consistent they've been. So, oh man, guys, I mean, not playing like the defending American League champions. That's all there is to it, and really not liking the body of work, and yeah, that's pretty much all I can say about it. I mean, the only reason why they're even in the power rankings is because the record is still rock steady, 30 and 23, and they're only like a game or percentage points behind Minnesota in the AL Central. So that's pretty much all there is to it. I mean, yeah, number 9, Kansas City Royals. Michael Bullock, let's have your number 9.
I'm gonna make it 3 for 3. Kansas City Royals, number 9. I mean, yeah, the record's there, but they haven't been playing like the way we expect. I mean, they're not playing like the defending American League champions as of late. So, yeah, they really need to get back on track if they're going to remain in these power rankings. So, number 9, Kansas City. Florida, let's move on.
All right, and number 8, I'm going to take it. Obviously, Michael Bullock probably not ready. Let's see. Next up, when it comes to the power rankings this time around, my number 8, I gotta go with the Tampa Bay Rays at number 8. Currently on a 4-game winning streak, they're 6 and 4 in their last 10 games, a record of 30 and 26. They are currently right now trailing the Seattle Mariners 2-1. That's in the bottom of the 8th inning up at Safeco Field. Let me see. But Tampa has been playing some really good ball as of late. I mean, unfortunately, they Well, they did take 2 out of 3 from the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim, and then they won on. And then so far they're 2 for 2 against the Seattle Mariners, but they're trailing them right now, 2-1, and that's one of the reasons why I got them at 8. They have one more game against Seattle in Seattle. That's tomorrow, of course. They're off on Monday, and then on Tuesday, they have a 3-game series with the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. This time at Tropicana Field, and then next weekend they have another 3-game series also at Tropicana Field against the Chicago White Sox. So that's pretty much all there is to say about it. I mean, they only trailed the Yankees by 1 game in that. I hate to say it, but decrepit AL East. I mean, what a joke that division has become. I mean, this division, the AL East, once upon a time, this division was, correct me if I'm wrong, fellas, but wasn't this division at one time the most compelling in all of baseball at one time? And where is it now? If this, right now, to me, the AL East is to this baseball season what the NFC South was to last football season. An absolute joke. And you heard it first. I don't think it's going to take 90 wins to win this division. I think it's going to be more like 80 or 85, for God's sakes, with the way this division is going right now. I wouldn't be surprised if in like 84, 85 or so wins is going to be good enough to win this division, the way this thing's going right now. But speaking of the AL East, the team that currently leads it, major jump in the power rankings, if I do say so myself. And as a fan of this team, I am more than pleased with where this team is going. Are they number 1? No, not really. But they're definitely going to be a lot higher than where they were in previous weeks. So, and I'm very pleased about that. So with that said, my number 8 is the Tampa Bay Rays. So, Michael Bullock, your number 8.
Yeah, my number 8, it is the Tampa Bay Rays. Yeah, you pretty much touched on everything. So my number 8 is the Tampa Bay Rays. So, Fletch, I give it to you.
Yeah, I gotta make the valid point too. Tampa definitely deserves to be at number 8, no doubt about it. I did have one team that I was thinking about putting there, but you do make a valid point, Florio. So I have to agree with you for the most part here. Tampa definitely deserves it at number 8. So yeah, the Rays are there. They're at number 8, and let's just move on.
I'll ask Michael Bullock if he has his number 7, or if if we have to move on. Bullock, do you want us to move on, or do you have?
Just move on to Fletch.
I figured. Fletch, number 7, if you have it.
Well, all right, number 7. Okay, now we're gonna get into very, very, very murky waters here. My number 7, and this was a team that I was thinking of, and again, another team that's on free fall. They've won 3 out of their last 10. They lost again today, and I don't know what it is about this team, but I gotta say it. I have to do it. It's the Washington Nationals. They were so high, so hot, and we were singing their praises. They were even in the top 3 last week, but all of a sudden they have hit a skid, and they're falling apart right before the seams. And I just don't see how you can really explain it or even make a valid point about how they deserve to be in that kind of situation. So for me, it's done. Nationals at 7. Anthony, it's yours.
Yeah, it is a tough one. To be honest with you, I actually looking at mine. I actually have a tie at number 7. One of them is the Washington Nationals, and the other is the New York Mets. I mean, why not? I mean, because they're tied. They're tied for first in the National League East. Both teams are on 1-game losing streaks. But Washington, 3-7 in their last 10 games. The Mets are 5-5 in their last 10. They're both tied. Like I said, they're both tied for first in the NL East, so that's why I've got them both in the same spot. I think that makes sense. They were supposed to play Toronto on Monday. They did not do that. They split a day-night doubleheader, but they ultimately lost 2 out of 3 to the Toronto Blue Jays. They lost 2 out of 3 to Matt Ward's Chicago Cubs, including tonight. They have the Cubs again tomorrow. One more game left against Chicago. Off on Monday, but then a 2-game interleague series against the New York Yankees at Yankee Stadium. Major implications there because of how well New York has been playing. And trust me, as a Yankee fan, I am, like I said, over the moon with how they're playing right now. I'm really surprised. And then they have a 4-game series starting Thursday at Miller Park against the Milwaukee Brewers. So, yeah, I mean, Washington, free falling, and we're not talking about the Tom Petty song either, even though it's one of my favorite songs, but yeah, not good at all from the Nats. But the only reason why they're still there is because they're tied for first with the other number 7, which is the New York Mets. They're 5-5 in their last 10. They did lose. They lost 2 out of 3 to the San Diego Padres up at Petco Park this past week. And so far they've lost 2 out of 3. They have now lost 2 out of 3. They just got defeated by the Arizona Diamondbacks. So now they are 1-2 against the D-backs. They won the first game Thursday night, but they lost last night. They lost again tonight. One more game against the Diamondbacks up in Arizona at Chase Field on tomorrow. Off on Monday, and then a 3-game series at home at Citi Field against your reigning, defending World Series champion San Francisco Giants. That should be very interesting. And then next weekend, guess who's coming to Citi Field? Michael Fletcher, your Atlanta Braves. You get the Mets at Citi Field next weekend. And I know what you're saying. Boy, it's payback time against those boys. So that's all there is to say about that. So it's a tie at number 7. New York Mets, Washington Nationals. They're tied for the division. They may as well be tied in the power rankings. So Michael Bullock, you're number 7.
Yeah, I agree. Washington Nationals and New York Mets are my number 7. Like you said, it's obvious they're tied. They should be a tie for this being number 7. But Washington, what is going on with them? They were on such a roll, and now they're starting to free fall, especially with the with what they've done and what. They're one of the favorites to win the World Series. That's not good. So, yeah, number 7's New York Mets, Washington Nationals. So, really got nothing else to say. You guys pretty much touched on everything. So, with that being said, let's move on to number 6. Is what I'm trying to say.
And I'm going to take it. This is an easy one for me. Let me just make sure it's an easy one. Bear with me for a moment. I just want to make sure I have it right. Make sure I have the right positioning here. All right. Now, I know this team's record is really good. I know they're 34-23. They lead the AL West, but honestly, I'm not liking their body of work right now, to be honest with you. I'm sorry to do it, but I know I might get ripped for it, but then again, I've been ripped many times. I don't give a damn. What's another one to add if I have to get ripped again? My number 6, I'm sorry, guys. I got to go with the Houston Astros. I'm sorry. I'm really not liking their body of work right now. They've lost 3 in a row. They're 4-6 in their last 10. The only reason why they're even where they are is because they are the best team by percentage points. They have the best record in the American League at 34-23, lead the AL West by 3.5 games. But I am really not liking the body of work of this team right now. Case in point, well, here's the thing, though. This is a good news, bad news situation. The good news is they took 3 out of 4 from the Baltimore Orioles. That's very good. However, though, they're 0 for 2 against the Toronto Blue Jays, and they've been outscored 13-4 at the Process, at Rogers Center, or as I still like to call it, the Sky Dome, home of WrestleManias 6 and 18. They play Toronto again tomorrow, Sunday. That concludes that series, and then starting Monday, a 3-game series up at U.S. Cellular Field against the Chicago White Sox. I know it's going to echo feelings of the 2005 World Series. I can't help but get those feelings every time I see those two match up. Off on Thursday, and then they go back home to Minute Maid Park for a 3-game series with the Seattle Mariners starting on Friday night. And, of course, the big news, if you didn't hear, they're actually going to revoke that little hill up in center field at Minute Maid Park. You know that little upward thing they have in center field, that little mound, that little hill up there? They're going to actually revoke that. They're going to work on that. They're going to actually tone it down a bit. So they're going to chop that thing to shreds, damn near. So, but it gave Houston it's a little bit of identity. So, but even with that, the team is free falling and not in a good way. The only reason, like I said, they're even where they are, it's the record. 34-23, and they lead the AL West by a significant margin. Although the team that's behind them is quiet, and I do mean quietly and slowly breathing down their necks, if I do say so myself. And based on that team's body of work, I think they deserve to be in the top 5, if I'm being quite honest with you. So that's all there is to say about that. So my number 6, it is the Houston Astros. So Michael Bullock, you're number 6.
You know what? I actually do have to agree with you. I was ready to say what, but after what you presented, like you said, 4 and 6 in the last 10. I gotta go with the Houston Astros. Despite that record of 34-23, they're So I know some people would probably say, hey, they should at least still be in the top 5, but that record in the last 10, that's not going to cut it with me. So, so Houston Astros, they're my number 6. Fletcher, I know you're probably going to disagree with us, but who do you have at number 6? So just enlighten us with it.
Actually, I'm not going to disagree with that. For the most part, I have to agree with what you guys have said. Do I believe that they deserve, to be where they're at? Yeah, I understand the 4 and 6. The record really does, pan as worthy enough of it. But I also have to say that there's a tie here at number 6 for me, because the other team, and I'm going to be real legit about it, the other team that I have here is actually the LA Dodgers. I think they're 32-24, and they were also 4 and 6 in the last 10 games. The only thing that really saved them was the victory over St. Louis, where 2-0 yesterday, and now that kind of keeps them enough in there, but not enough for me to really thread the needle or anything like that. So yeah, I agree with what you guys have said for the most part. So Anthony, let's just move on.
Okay. Again, I'll ask Michael Bullock. Are you
Nope, just go right ahead.
I figured. All right. Michael Fletcher, do you want to take it, or?
I got it. Top 5. Now we're gonna get into some meat. And this is where now you gotta start looking for the real good teams and the real contenders. And let's start off, you know what? I'm gonna say it like this. Let's start off in the NL West. You know what? This team is coming on strong lately. They're rising up, even though this is really tight, because there's 2 teams I have in mind in the top 5 right now. One team is from the NL West. One team from the AL West. The other team is from the NL Central. And just off the body of work, I gotta do it. My number five, and this is by probably by a smidge. My number five, I gotta say, it it's it's the Texas Rangers, 30-26, 7-3, winners of three in a row. No doubt about it. Their record definitely proves that they deserve to be in the top five. Well, and yes, they did get a big win over the American League champion, the Kansas City Royals. But lately, as you know, Kansas City has been free falling. So, it's a nice win and everything else. But the body of work, it's almost identical with my number four team. It's pretty tight, pretty close. Like I said, just by a hair is what I'm going to say as. So my number so right now, my number five is Texas. Anthony, go.
This is a rarity for me. This is something I rarely do. But this is one of those rare times I'm actually going to do it. Three-way tie at number five. Yes, you heard me. A three-way tie at number five. One of them is the Los Angeles Dodgers. I do agree with you, Michael Fletcher. Well, a little disagree there. And my other two teams rounding out number five, the San Francisco Giants and the Minnesota Twins. Those are the three teams that I have at number five. I have to do a three-way tie in here somewhere because with all the other teams that are playing so well, I want to have one legitimate, undisputed number one team when it comes to the power rankings. If I'm being quite honest with you, and that's why I'm going this route. I normally don't like to go with three-way ties, but in this situation, I don't have a choice. I have to go the three-way route here. Started with the Los Angeles Dodgers. 32-24. They lead the NL West. They're 4-6 in their last 10 games, like Michael Fletcher said. They They went 2-2, split a 4-game series with the Colorado Rockies. They lost the first 2 games to the St. Louis Cardinals, but they beat them tonight. Big win for them. So big win for the LA Dodgers. One more game against St. Louis, and that's tomorrow night on Sunday Night Baseball. There you go, Michael Bullock. I know how much you love your Sunday Night Baseball, but I know you'll probably push it back because of the NBA Finals, and I can't blame you for that. And then Monday, they start a 3-game series at home against the Arizona Diamondbacks, and then next weekend they go to San Diego for that big 3-game series with the Padres up at Petco Park. So, yeah, I think we touched on everything else for the LA Dodgers. So LA Dodgers, first number 5, second number 5. I got to go with the Minnesota Twins. 2-game losing streak, 5-5 in their last 10, 32-23. Lead the AL Central. I was high on their body of work, but well, here's the thing. They took 3 out. They took they went 2-2. They went 2-2 against Michael Bullock's Boston Red Sox. And then, but however, they've lost the last 2 games against the Milwaukee Brewers, in which they've been outscored 14-7 in the process. So that's why I got to put them here at number 5. One more game against the Milwaukee Brewers. That's tomorrow. And then Monday night, that huge 3-game series with the defending American League champion Kansas City Royals at Target Field. Power ranking and AL Central implications, to say the very least. And then next weekend they go up to Texas, another implication series against the Texas Rangers. So that's a 3-gamer starting on Friday night. So when we get to our next Strictly Sports show. So that's Minnesota, and then my third and final number 5 is your defending World Series champion San Francisco Giants. It's because the records are identical. 32 wins apiece. Twins with 23 losses, Dodgers with 24, but the Giants with 25. But here's the thing: San Fran, 2-game winning streak, 5-5 in the last 10, 32-25. half game behind the Dodgers in the NL West. They got swept 3 in a row by the Pittsburgh Pirates. That's not going to help. But however, they've made it up in a big way so far, 2 for 2 against the Philadelphia Phillies, 12-9 the score in those games. They play the Phillies one more time up at Citizens Bank Park tomorrow. Off on Monday, and then Tuesday, that big 3-game series with the New York Mets up at Citi Field. And then they go home next weekend for a 3-game series with the Arizona Diamondbacks. So I know it's very tough, but because of the fact that I want to have a sole undisputed number 1, as I was looking at the standings and taking the notes here, I figured the best way to go about it is I was going to have to put a 3-way tie in there somewhere, and I figured based on the records and body of work of these 3 teams, I figured this was the best place to put it. So 3-way tie at number 5, San Francisco Giants, Minnesota Twins, and the Los Angeles Dodgers. That's my story. I'm sticking to it. Michael Bullock, how do you follow that with your number 5?
Man, I don't know how to follow that with your 3-way tie, but I do have a tie at number 5. But it's 2 of those teams that you just mentioned, the Dodgers and the Giants. So yeah, so you pretty much touched on everything on both of the teams. So really got nothing else to say except let's move on to number 4.
All right. My number 4, I'll start it off. Yes. When it comes to my number 4, I mean, to take it into account, I got to base it on a body of work. I also have to base it on results, on most recent results. And because of the fact that this team was defeated tonight, but the body of work is still there, my number 4, I got to go with the Pittsburgh Pirates at number 4. 7-3 in the last 10. They did lose. They lost tonight to Michael Fletcher's Atlanta Braves. So I know Fletcher's got to be pleased about that. And that's one of the reasons why I had to drop them to number 4. I was going to have them initially in the top 3 because they have been playing so very well. They were coming off a 3-game sweep of the world champion San Francisco Giants at AT&T Park, and then a 10-8 win over Fletcher's Braves on Friday night. But Fletcher's Braves got the best of them tonight, 5-4. So I had to drop Pittsburgh down. I initially had them right around the 3 spot, but I had to drop them down to 4 because of this. One more game against Fletcher's Braves, and that's tomorrow at Turner Field. And then they have a 3-game series with the Milwaukee Brewers starting Monday night. And then they're off on Thursday, and then a 3-game series with the Philadelphia Phillies starting on Friday. All these games at home, and let's face it, guys, with Milwaukee and Pittsburgh, I mean with Milwaukee and Philadelphia, I should say, rather meh. I think Pittsburgh can easily find their way into the top 3 next week. Because if they do well, which I think they're going to, if they do well against Milwaukee and Philadelphia, I like their chances to be in the top 3 next week. But because of the tough loss to Fletcher's Braves tonight, I had to drop them. I initially had them in the top 3, but I got to put them down to number 4. I'm sorry to say. My number 4, it is the Pittsburgh Pirates. I'm sorry to say. So with that said, Michael Bullock, your number 4.
All right, my number 4, I have another tie, and it's the 2 American League teams, the Minnesota Twins and the Texas Rangers. So yeah, so you pretty much touched on them earlier. So really got nothing else to say except I'm just gonna give it to Fletch.
My number 4 is Pittsburgh Pirates. Anthony made a very valid point, and that was the team I had originally at number 4. It didn't really matter how they would have played against Atlanta because my top 3, in my opinion, are the best 3 that are going right now. So no doubt about it. I definitely agree with what you did, Florio. So no arguments from here. Let's just move on.
Michael Bullock, do you have your number 3?
Yes, I do.
All right, let's have it.
All right, my number 3. I know you punished this team and put them at number 4, but I, I still think with that 7-3 record, I gotta do it. Pittsburgh Pirates are my number 3. I just like the way they've been playing as of late, and I just think it's just good enough for them to be in the top 3. So yeah, so you really touched on everything on them. So Pittsburgh Pirates are my number 3. So Fletcher, let's move on to yours.
All right, this is where it gets really, really dicey. I mean, we're talking. This is, like I said, it gets dicey at the end because I kind of have to figure it out and try to maneuver through what I call the landmines. And I don't know. I mean, I. Hmm. Like I said, this is where it really gets tight. Basically, let's see. You know what, Floyd? Why don't you help me out here? Well, you do your number 3.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I should have asked if you wanted me to take it. So because it looks like you're having a hard time. I'm gonna save you a trip here because I got the top 3 and I got this top 3 down pat here. So whether you guys agree with me on it or not, we'll have to wait and see. But this is simple for me, and I'm glad Fletch threw it to me because I'm not going to waste any time. I know who my number 3 is, and I'm not ashamed to say who it is. My number 3 is the Texas Rangers. The Texas Rangers are my number 3. 3-game winning streak.
That's where I was going.
Was that where you were going?
I said that was where I was going, but I was torn between them and St. Louis. But no, you're right. You're right. Yeah. It is yes. Texas. They deserve it.
Yeah. Texas Rangers are the number 3 team in the power rankings this week. 3-game winning streak, 7-3 in the last 10 games, 30-26 record, 3.5 games behind the Houston Astros for first in the AL West. Of course, the news this week on them, Josh Hamilton's going to be out for a while with an injury that he suffered in their win against Michael Bullock's Red Sox this past weekend. They did well against them, I believe. But going on the week here, they took 2 out of 3 from the Chicago White Sox, and so far they're 2 for 2 against the defending American League champion Kansas City Royals, outscoring them 8-2 in the process. One more game against the Royals up at Kauffman Stadium this afternoon, and then off on Monday, and then Tuesday night they have starting Tuesday night a 3-game series with the Oakland Athletics up at the Oakland Coliseum there, and then on Friday that huge 3-game series with the Minnesota Twins. Power ranking implications, to say the very least. So yeah, I'm really loving this team's body of work right now. They were so horrible. They got to such a bad start, but they have really turned it around. Prince Fielder has been really doing some things for this team lately. I mean, Hamilton came through with a big hit the other day to beat Bullock's Red Sox. So, yeah, really loving this team's body of work right now. So, but there are 2 other teams' bodies of work who I love just a little bit more, to be honest with you. So, my number 3, the Texas Rangers. So, I know Bullock said he had Pittsburgh. So, Fletch, do you officially have Texas as your number 3?
I officially have Texas as my number 3. Yes, confirmed.
Okay. Michael Bullock led off on number 3. So, Michael Fletcher, do you want to start with number 2, or do you want me to take it?
No, I got number 2. This was not difficult at all. And like I said, the only spot where I was kind of on the fence was 3, but 2 and 1 I actually had. Number 2, I gotta do it. A team that has made a major jump in the power rankings, no doubt about it. Winners of 5 in a row, and if it wasn't for the overall record, they would be number 1. But until then, unfortunately, they remain at number two. They get number two. It is the New York Yankees, Anthony Florio's squad, 7-3 winners of 5 in a row, including a win over the LA Angels the LA Angels of Anaheim. They're 31-25, and let me tell you guys, they, like I said, even though the number one team is about, I'm gonna say they actually got a good leg up. They got a good leg on them, at least 6 games up on the number one team. And even though this number one team did lose last night, the body of work is just a little better. So with that said, I gotta say it with very utmost respect and honor. My number two is indeed the greatest baseball team in the history of the game. The 27 time. I think it's 27 times. If I'm
It's
wrong,
27. It's 27.
okay. The 27 time World Series champions, the New York Yankees. Florio.
Absolutely correct on this, Michael Fletcher. I mean, oh my gosh. Yes, number two, it is the New York Yankees. But let me just say it like this: after how devastated I was, as well as Michael Fletcher, about the New York Rangers, losing to the Tampa Bay Lightning in the Eastern Conference Finals. I mean, I said to myself, well, the only way I'm gonna actually see a championship this year is if the Yankees get it. And I'm like, yeah, highly unlikely, especially with how well Houston's been doing and Minnesota's been playing great, and with Kansas City, your Kansas Cities and your Detroits and all these other teams, the Angels and all that. But hey, anything can happen, folks. And look what the Yanks have done. I mean, can you believe this, guys? 5-game winning streak, 7-3 in the last 10 games. I mean, last weekend, let me tell you something. Last weekend, they played very piss poor. They dropped 3 out of 4 to the Oakland A's at Oakland Coliseum, and I was very, very miffed about that, very animated. But oh my goodness, did they turn their efforts around? They go into Safeco Field, and they made themselves at home against the Seattle Mariners to the tune of a 3-game sweep. 3-game sweep, a clean sweep of the Seattle Mariners, outscoring them 15-6 in the process. And then to follow that, so far they're 2 for 2 against the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim, outscoring them 16-9. I mean, yes, they had a scare on Friday night. I mean, they nearly blew an 8-1 lead. I mean, the Angels scored 6 runs in the top of the 9th inning and nearly choked it away. But somehow they held on. No such Shakespearean drama tonight. They held on for an 8-2 victory tonight. So easy win tonight. So they have one more game against the Angels at the stadium this afternoon, 1:05 start. They're off on Monday. And then, of course, the big 2-game interleague series with the Washington Nationals. Last time we played the Nationals, we had some troubles. But let's face it, the Yanks have been, peaking. Nationals free falling. I think the Yanks are gonna. I can see the Yanks doing better against the Nationals this time around. And then a big 3-game series with divisional implications, AL East implications, when they go to Camden Yards to take on the Baltimore Orioles for a 3-game series next weekend. One of those games, by the way, will be the Saturday game of the week. Once again, they had the Saturday night game of the week this week on Fox. They had the coveted Fox Saturday baseball game of the week with Joe Buck and company. Joe Buck was there tonight and his crew up at Yankee Stadium when they beat the Angels 8-2 tonight. They were there. I reckon they'll be at Camden Yards next weekend. We'll have to wait and see on that. But yes, I mean, what can you say? I mean, Masahiro Tanaka back in the fold. I mean, Tanaka pitched a great game against Seattle the other night. And say what you want about him, I mean, yes, I hate the man's guts, but Aroyd has actually been doing some things. Aroyd has actually been producing, which I cannot believe I'm saying, but he actually has been producing. And now I believe he is now second all-time for the most RBI in Yankees franchise history. So major accomplishment there. Yes, I still hate his guts, but I'll tell you what. I mean, he keeps producing. Who knows? maybe some bigger and better things could come. And I'll tell you what, the defense has gotten better, and Teixeira's been hitting the ball lately, so we just got to work on CeCe. I mean, CeCe needs some work, and if he can get some work, and if that rotation gets going, that works out great. And Andrew Miller has done an admirable job in the closer role. I mean, we thought it was going to be very hard to replace a man who I considered irreplaceable, Mariano Rivera, the greatest closer of all time. But David Robertson had a hell of a year last year, had well over 30 saves, as I recall, last year. And Andrew Miller, I think, is on his way. I could see him getting maybe close to 40, if not more than that, if he keeps doing what he's doing. So really loving this team's body of work right now. I mean, if you guys had told me that going into this power rankings that this Yankee team was going to be number 2, I would have said, hell no. After how piss poor they were against Oakland, no way. But after the 3-game sweep of Seattle, and who knows, maybe another 3-game sweep of perhaps the LA Angels if they can get it done this afternoon, which I hope they do. Wow, unbelievable. After being so devastated over the Rangers losing, my Yanks, man, they're coming to my rescue here. I really love their body of work, and I am just hopeful. I know this is wishful thinking, but the only way I'm going to see it, I mean, Derek and Bullock, they celebrated the Patriots winning the Super Bowl. Fletcher and his Dukies, winning the national championship, winning the tournament this year. Major accomplishment for them. You boys have already celebrated championships. I thought the most realistic way I was going to win a championship was with the Rangers. I thought they were going to win the Stanley Cup. Obviously, they didn't. But next year they will, by the way. But I'll tell you what. The Yanks, I know it's wishful thinking, but damn it to hell, I would love it if they could win the World Series. It would be what an accomplishment that would be if this team could go all the way and win the World Series. Is that going to happen? Most likely not. But if they do win the World Series, it will conclude maybe the greatest year that the Strictly Sports family has had. Not only has this been the year of Shakespearean drama, it's also been a year of championships within the family. I mean, like I said, Derek and Bullock's Patriots win the Super Bowl. Fletcher's Dukies win the national championship in the tournament. And could Matt Ward be next, our good friend and insider? Could the Chicago Blackhawks win the Stanley Cup? It's very possible. Could my Yankees win the World Series, or even Ward's Cubs win the World Series for the first time in over 100 years? I don't know. We got a long way to go. But damn it to hell, boys, I'm really loving this team's body of work. And I, for one, could not be any more pleased or any more happy. This is the first time in a long time I've actually been excited about something that the Yankees have been doing. Keep it up, Yanks. Keep it up. Feed me more, boys. I want more. They keep this up, who knows? Could they be number 1 next week? I hope so, but most likely not. But we'll see. Number 2, New York Yankees. Michael Bullock, let's have it. You're number 2.
All right, number 2. I'm going to make it unanimous. The New York Yankees are my number 2, and going into the season, I was thinking that there was no way this Yankees team was going to compete in that division, but this, yes, even though I don't like A-Royd, you got to give him credit. He's stepped up his game, and he's really helped. He's really made a difference for this team, and I like, of course, from the back end of the bullpen with Andrew Miller. So, yeah, this Yankees team is on a roll right now. So, New York Yankees are my number 2. So, with that being said, let's get to number 1.
I wonder who this number 1 team could be. Even though they lost tonight, and even though I normally don't like to reward a team for losing, damn it to hell, this team is so damn consistent. Like I said, yes, the Yanks may be the most successful when it comes to World Series titles with their 27, but the team that's won the second most World Series titles with, I believe, 11, that's who's your number 1 once again. For the second week in a row, and third time in the last 4 weeks since we started Major League Baseball Power Rankings a few weeks ago, Number one more time, boys. Go crazy, Uncle Ed. Go crazy, Dede Woodson and family. It is your St. Louis Cardinals one more time at number one in the Major League Baseball power rankings for this week. Like I said, they lost to the Los Angeles Dodgers tonight, but here's the thing, though. The record, 37-19, 7-3 in the last 10 games, the largest division lead of any team in Major League Baseball, 6.5 game lead over the Pittsburgh Pirates, 7 over Matt Ward's Cubs in the NL Central. I mean, let's look at it. Let's look at the body of work. Let me try to get it here. I do believe I have. Okay, here we go. Now, last weekend they took 2 out of 3 from the Los Angeles Dodgers. Major big deal there. And then they follow that up by taking 2 out of 3 from the Milwaukee Brewers. They had won the previous 2 games against the Los Angeles Dodgers. I was outscoring them 9-2 in the process, but they did lose tonight, 2-0. One more game against the Los Angeles Dodgers up at Dodger Stadium, and that's later tonight, 8 o'clock on ESPN as part of Sunday Night Baseball. They now go to they will now go to Coors Field up in Denver. They go up against the Colorado Rockies, 3-game set. They're off on Thursday, and then fellas, the next 2 weeks, the next 2 series. Yeah, the next 2 series for the St. Louis Cardinals, dicey. Murderer's Row. Next weekend, they go up against the Kansas City Royals. This time they're at their house, at Busch Stadium. Of course, when you think about Royals and Cardinals, you can't help but think about that unforgettable 1985 World Series, the 30th anniversary of that World Series. And then get this, guys. After that, on Monday, a 2-game interleague series at home against the Minnesota Twins. And then following that, they go to Minnesota to take on the Twins at Target Field. So a 4-game interleague series with Minnesota. So they got a Murderer's Row type schedule here. 3 against the Royals at home, and then a very unique 4-game interleague series with Minnesota. 2 in St. Louis, the first 2 in St. Louis, and then the next 2 in Minnesota. Interesting. But nonetheless, this team has been so damn consistent. And there's one young man who I've been very much impressed with, a pitcher. 2 years ago, this young man became a household name, and I think he's on his way to becoming that household name again. Michael Wacha. Waka, 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 fellas. I mean, this guy has been unbelievable. He has filled in. He has been so admirable. You know, remember, this team lost Adam Wainwright. Adam Wainwright went down with an injury. We thought it was going to be doomed for St. Louis. But no. They keep finding a way. With pitching, defense, small ball, long ball, whatever. This team can beat you in so many ways. And that's why this team deserves to be where they are right now. Maybe they have lost tonight. It's not as, it's not as with a bullet as you think. But because of the overall record and their prior body of work, the St. Louis Cardinals, once again, are your number 1 team in the Strictly Sports Major League Baseball power rankings. How will they do against KC? How will they do against Minnesota? Only time will tell. I think they'll do great against Colorado, but because Colorado is, well, terrible. But after Colorado, it's about KC and Minnesota. Then we'll see what this team's really made of. But for now, they're number 1. One more time, the St. Louis Cardinals. So, Michael Bullock, who's your number 1? I already know who it is. Let's put us out of our misery.
St. Louis Cardinals, number 1. Really nothing else is there to be said. You pretty much touched on everything. So with that being said, Fletcher, you're number 1.
Yes, indeed, it's St. Louis. They deserve it. I mean, they've been the most consistent team, like you said, Florio. Even though they did have what I call a hiccup against the LA Dodgers yesterday, they're just far and away the best team out there. And I haven't seen a team that's really come in or has even threatened St. Louis right now. So, like I said, they're definitely on their way to looking like the team that could be, in my opinion, the favorite in the National League right now. We'll just gotta wait and see what happens then. But they're looking great. They're not only looking good, they're looking great right now, no doubt. So with that said, let's just move on.
All right, that will put the ball on this edition, this special Saturday night edition of Strictly Sports, on what was a very historic day, to say the very least, with American Pharaoh, of course, winning the Triple Crown for the first time in 37 years. I mean, I can only imagine how Michael Fletcher would have called that race, because I'm sure he would have lost his mind on that call, like he always does. But oh man, what a yeah! And then you follow that up with a very exciting Game 2 of the Stanley Cup Finals with Chicago and Tampa, and then we move on to the NBA Finals tomorrow night. Will Game 2 be just as unbelievable as Game 1 was? Will there be just as much Shakespearean drama there at the Oracle? We'll find that out. But nonetheless, I know you guys all were saying, why aren't you guys talking about American Pharaoh? Well, Derek Ferreira, our Imperial Grand Poobah, says that he wants to hold off until Friday because he wants to be included in our discussion, and we certainly can't leave him out. It's his show, for God's sakes. So, but if it wasn't his show, if it was my show, not only would we have talked about it tonight, we would have let off with that tonight, no doubt about it. But that's all there is to say about it. So that's it. Of course, we're going to get into our shout-outs now. So with that said, we'll start it off with Michael Fletcher. Michael Fletcher, your shout-outs.
Well, of course, I gotta say that first off, I want to thank all the great fans out there for listening and watching Strictly Sports as usual. You guys already know who you guys are. You are the best fans in the world. Um, I also want to say a special thank you to all of our super fans. I actually had, like I said, a great chat earlier today with a few of them. Um, and then, of course, much love to my friends from the junior high and high school days. You guys already know who you are. Derek Ferreira, as always, the Imperial Grand Poobah, and the host of the show. It's not the same without you guys, without you, man. And I hope to see you on Monday night. I know you're right now on the fence about Monday night for form. I hope you're on it. Um, with that said, everything else, I mean, yes, it has been a great day. Even a great day, outside of, besides American Pharaoh winning, Barcelona wins the Champions League. They get the treble, as we call it. They are the league champions in the Spanish league. They won in Spain this year. They won the Copa del Rey, which is the King's Cup, which is um, the equivalent of a second. It's a major championship, no doubt about it. And then to win, in my opinion, the Super Bowl of European soccer, to win the UEFA Champions League trophy today, it is without a doubt the ultimate cementing of a great feat, no doubt about it. So congratulations to them for doing that. Not only that, but we also had a great day, leading off with the Women's World Cup. Canada comes out with a big win on their opening day, and Canada was considered one of those teams that I believe will be a team that will get out of the group stages and move on to the next round. To say the very least, yes, American Pharaoh wins the Triple Crown. Um, I'll probably have my thoughts about it. On Friday, I'm gonna do a little drop in. I probably won't be on for the whole show due to commitments beyond my control, but I do wanna put my 2 cents in about American Pharaoh, so I'll be here Friday night, confirmed, and will. And then, of course, in boxing, Miguel Cotto looked amazing tonight. Big victory for him. And now we might have ourselves a mega fight. And this time, it ain't gonna be no Zonk. It ain't gonna be no Clunker. It ain't gonna be no Dinkelbergen when Miguel Angel Cotto fights um, Canelo Alvarez. I think the fight is now definitely in the works. I think it's going to happen now. And now they're talking about us a fall, possibly September, October, possibly for that fight. This could be a mega fight, a mega event. And this time, this might be even better than what we saw with Mayweather and Pacquiao. More exciting, at least in my eyes, with that. And then just just a few minutes ago, or I should say about an hour ago, my boy Dan Henderson. A lot of people was like, "Oh, he should retire. He should retire." 27 seconds, knockout victory, round one. It was time, and the legend shows up. 44 years old, guys, and he knocked out a dude half his age in 27 seconds. Woo! Is what I'm saying. I feel so jacked up. I want to RKO somebody right now because of that. So great night indeed. It is a great night indeed. So with that said, you know the routine. Hug the hand pounds. I'm out. Good night. Bullock, it's yours.
All right, thank you very much, Fletch. Of course, special shout outs to all of our great fans out there. Of course, we all know who you guys are, and you are the best fans in the world. So, yeah, of course, we want to thank you all so much for listening to us for for a special Saturday night edition of Strictly Sports. So, shout outs to our super fans, Dee Dee Woodson, Kevin Woodson, Matt Ward, Jason Hexenbaugh. And of course, shout outs to our friends from our high school days, Al Brederson, Jimmy Alden, Rob Parsons, Eric Carrier, Tom Souza, the First Lady of Strictly Sports, Kaiser Butler, the First Lady of the Wrestling Forum, Megan Silva, the Grand Poobah himself, Derek Ferrer, couldn't be with us tonight. And of course, our our local TV personalities, of course, Ken Bell from ABC6, Yanni Caracas, Mark Dondero, and Patrick Lowe from Channel 12, Frank Garpano and Joe Chiara from NBC 10, Jenny Dell, formerly of Nesson, now of CBS Sports. Of course, shout outs to our personalities from ESPN. Of course, the women, of course, Sarah Walsh, Lindsay Zarniak, Jamie Sire, Lisa Kearney, Jade McCarthy, Linda Cohn, everybody else, and of course the males, of course, Jay Harris, Robert Flores, David Lloyd, Jonathan Coachman, Todd Grisham, everybody over there. So, and of course, shout outs to our friends from Fox Sports 1, Aaron Andrews, Carissa Thompson, Julie Stewart Banks, Jill Arrington, Molly McGrath, and of course, Katie Nolan, also of course from Fox Sports 1. Of course, the one of the people that used to be on Crowd Goes Wild. Yes, and of course, the former Celtics reporter Emily Austin. We missed her, of course, being the reporter for the Celtics, and of course, our friends from the Road Show. Of course, starting off with the former co-hosts Mary Larson and Megan Mooney, and of course, to the three current people, Brendan Kirby, Will Gilbert, and Michaela Johnson. So, yeah, so that's gonna do it for me. So until Monday night for an all-new edition of the Wrestling Forum, where we will review the go-home to Money in the Bank edition of Monday Night Raw. This is Mike Bullock saying thank you all so much for listening to us. And of course, you know the routine. Thumbs up. Talk to you later. Yeah, throw it up Fortune 4 style. Bye for now and enjoy the rest of your weekend. So, Florio, take us home.
Yeah, we'll do on that, Michael Bullock. We want to thank you all so very much for tuning in to this special Saturday night edition of Strictly Sports. We appreciate it as always. You are the best fans in the world. I know you were all expecting a show last night, but unfortunately, due to circumstances beyond our control, we could not do a show last night. Derek decided to cancel and push it back to tonight, and rightfully so, because we were all over the place. I was here, but I know Bullock and Fletch were all over the place. So, but nonetheless, I'm glad we got to do the show tonight. I'm glad Derek decided to push it back. Would have been nice if he had been with us, but it is what it is. So, of course, special shout outs to all of our, all of the tremendous fans who continue to make Strictly Sports and the Wrestling Forum along with the side projects, the Rangers Roundup and Bulls Corner, what they are. We appreciate that as always. Didi Woodson, Kevin Woodson, and the entire Woodson family. Matt Ward, whose Blackhawks are in the Stanley Cup Finals, so I know he's got to be thrilled about that. I know he would have liked to have won tonight, but 1-1. I mean, we still got a ways to go, but don't worry, Ward. We'll see what happens. Hopefully they bring it home, but we'll see. Jason Hicksonbaugh, Daniel Luttrell from the UK, Derek Ferreira, who couldn't be with us tonight. I wish we could have had him, but he was watching the Miguel Cotto fight with close friends, so that's why he wasn't with us tonight. But I am hopeful that he will be with us Monday night for the Wrestling Forum, which I'll get into in a moment. But if not, then I'll obviously, take the reins once again. Always happy to fill in when I'm needed. Of course, the rest of our crew, Tommy Souza, Eric Carrier, Jimmy Alden, Rob Parsons, Al Braderson, Megan Silva, Kaiser Butler, Alex Zapata, and that's it for that. And of course, all the sports personalities. Michael Bullock touched on those. No need to reiterate. All of our local personalities, from your Ken Bells to your Frank Carpanos and everybody else. We definitely give them major shout outs all the time. Our friends from Nesson, our friends from Fox Sports 1, our friends from ESPN, they all know who you are. Michael Bullock already, took care of that. Along with our good friend Crystal Tooney, our good, and of course, Emily Austin, who continues to do things in Tampa. Of course, all our friends from the Road Show, former co-host Megan Mooney and Mary Larson, and the three folks who currently hold it down nowadays, two of which Michael Bullock got to meet at the Special Olympics games last weekend. If you're just joining us, he met Will Gilbert and Michaela Johnson. Did not meet Brendan Kirby because Brendan was not there, but I know he met Will and Michaela, and I know he chatted with them, so that was cool for him. I wish he would have mentioned the show, but it is what it is. I know he's in game mode when it comes to that. So that's all there is to it. So I can understand that. Lindsay McCormick, State of Sorrel, we can't forget about them, of course. And two special shout outs, of course. First special shout out, of course, as always, to my church family at Oasis of Grace Ministries. I'll be going there later this morning. I'll be there for their usual Sunday service, which is always fantastic, to say the very least. 464 Silver Spring Street in Providence. They are absolutely fantastic, wonderful folks over there. If you need a church home, they're there for you. So, yeah, the Sunday service, of course, Bible study on Wednesday nights, 7:00 on Wednesday nights, and then they also have Friday services, but they haven't been having the Friday services for a while. I'm not sure when the next one of that will be. We'll see when that is, but hopefully those stuff goes back up again. But Sunday and Wednesdays for now, the Sunday service and then the Bible study on Wednesday nights. So Oasis of Grace Ministries, 464 Silver Spring Street. If you need a church home, check them out. They're wonderful folks over there. They've been nothing but wonderful and supportive to me. So, and that's why I love them so much. So they know who they are. And my last and final shout out, a special shout out, of course, and a special congratulations to Victor Espinosa, Bob Baffert, and everybody involved, who is involved with American Pharoah, the first Triple Crown winner in the sport of horse racing. And after 37 years, your long wait is over, horse racing fans. It has happened. The Triple Crown has been won. American Pharoah did it. What a moment it was. It's definitely one of the greatest moments. I honestly thought I'd never see this happen in my lifetime. Our parents were around, our parents, our aunts, our uncles, our grandparents. They were all around. Maybe some older siblings were around. They got to witness this moment back in 1978 when a firm did it. But I am so thankful and blessed that I got to be a part of it, that Michael Bullock got to be a part of it, Michael Fletcher, Derek Ferreira, and anybody who's just a fan of the sport of horse racing. Oh, this day was for you, my friends. Just like the owner said, just like Pharoah's owner said at the trophy stand, this is for you. And I could not echo his sentiments any more better. So congratulations to him, Bob Baffert, Victor Espinosa, and everybody involved. And of course, when we get to Friday night on Strictly Sports, we will definitely have our thoughts on that. So, all right, so that's going to do it for this edition of Strictly Sports, this special Saturday night edition of Strictly Sports. Thank you so very much for tuning in. Of course, Monday night, that's when we'll be back. We'll be back with you on Monday night, following Monday Night Raw, for our newest installment of the Wrestling Forum. And it's the go-home show for the Money in the Bank pay-per-view event. We'll see how that goes. It'll be live from the Smoothie King Arena in New Orleans, Louisiana. We'll see how that goes. And then, of course, next Friday night, Strictly Sports, where not only will we have the Major League Baseball power rankings, as always, but we'll also have our thoughts on American Pharaoh winning the Triple Crown. So just an all-around historic day. And like I said, I'm so damn thankful and so damn blessed that I actually got to see this as it happened. And I honestly never thought I'd see this in my lifetime, but I can take this to my grave. I can say, hey, I got to see a horse racing Triple Crown in my lifetime. All of us get to say that. So thankful for that. And congratulations again to everybody involved with American Pharaoh. You all deserve it. Couldn't have into a better horse. And what a great moment in the world of, not only in the world of horse racing, but it'll definitely go moment in the history of sports. That's all there is to say about it. Simple as that. So that's going to do it. So until Monday night for the Wrestling Forum on Derek's channel, FW 2008-09, it's Anthony Floyer here for Michael Bullock, and in spirit, Michael Fletcher and Derek Ferreira, saying, you know the routine, everybody. Thumbs up. Talk to you later. Yeah. Throw it up Fortune 4 style. And until Monday night for the Wrestling Forum on Derek's channel, FW 2008-09, you've been watching this special Saturday night edition of Strictly Sports right here on the Tone 25 on YouTube.com. Bye for now, my friends. God bless. Be good to each other. For now, Anthony Florio. So long.